then we have the classical result of the heat equation. And also by using some computational tool, we can establish their graphical, and these are the graphical results, and these are the numerical results. Okay, and then we have first order differential equation also can be solved if we have m fractional differential equation also can be solved, and the process is very quite simple. So these are some applications and corresponding results are there. Okay, and the same operator we can use for different type of prompts. Okay, and also the by using the same operator, we can make some operators, or by using the artificial neural network, we can find out different type of results. We are working on it, and I hope if you this is the over, and further we can extend this operator to find out any kind of mathematical model in the form of fractional order. And also the same we can apply for the control theory to find out different type of operations and physical prompts. So these are the content for this session. Thank you. If you have any question, please feel free to ask it to me. Any question, please?
Thank you so much, sir, for your wonderful keynote speech. We are very much thankful to you. Question from audience side, you can ask. From
Any question
audience,
from the audience,
any
please?
question is there? Okay. Now we are going to start paper presentations. I request all the participants kindly mute yourself, and if you have any question, please type the question in the chat box. After completing the presentation, presenter will answer your all questions. Also, my humble request to all presenters and participants, to all presenters, to finish your presentation within the time allotted to you. For today's session, the first presenter is paper ID 09, Professor Buzenada Abdul Malik, Boumali Abdul Malik. He is professor in the Department of Physics, Larbi Tebessee University, Algeria. His paper title is Thermal Properties of Clean Jordan Oscillator in Cosmic Strings Spacetime, Hurwitz Zeta Function Approximation. Professor Buzenada, I request you to please share your presentation.
Good day, sir. You are listening good?
Professor, are you available? Professor Abdul Malik? Am I audible to you, sir? Okay, let's move to other participant. I request to Dr. Shakuntala Singla, Associate Professor in the Department of Mathematics and Statistics, MMDU, Mullana, India. Her paper title is Reliability Theory for Manufacturing Industries. Dr. Shakuntala Singla.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm audible.
Good afternoon. Yeah, you are audible, ma'am. Please share your screen.
Wait a minute, sir. I'm trying it.
The one who's sharing is good enough. No, Shakuntala Singla. Shakuntala.
No, he is sharing.
Is it visible, sir?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Very good afternoon to all presenter. I am Dr. Shakuntala Singla, Associate Professor, Department of Mathematics and Humanities, Maharishi Markandeshwar, deemed to be University, Mulana, Ambala, Haryana. Today, I am going to represent my paper. The topic is liability theory for manufacturing industries. Outline for my presentation is background, basic concepts and definition, literature review, and the different system that we discuss in this presentation. The first one is the first topic is regarding the background. The study of operational research starting during the Second World War and afterwards. With the development of operational research, the study of liability theory emerged as byproduct in context of defense study. The word reliable and reliability are in the use from ancient time. In fact, these occur frequently in social, political, economical, and practical fields to indicate the efficiency of a person or a mechanical equipment. A mathematically shaped the word reliability was given later in 1950 with its scientific use for defense purpose. In 1965, a complex missile program ran out in hundreds of millions of dollars, which include a reliability program. This program was a line of high reliability, premium quality and costly parts designed to be used with sizable safety factors. Another area of modern technology involving reliability was the space program. It was observed and realized that the percentage of successful space launching has increased dramatically since the earlier days of our space program due to the application of reliability concept. Transportation sector is the other area where the reliability plays a very important role. The development of a reliability technology in India is an interesting and encouraging history for the researchers. The theory of reliability plays a very important role, directly or indirectly, in almost all of our daily life programs. Some of these systems whose reliability is immediately concerned to the society in general are power transportation and medical care, steel and communication industry, etc. The history of a modern engineering reflects that the system failure can occur in any field. Industrial accident in Union Carbide, Bhopal in 1984, one of the example of it, and power reactor accident in the Karanboil, USSR in 1986. That is another example whose failure concerns be a very disaster results. To compete with the global market and to achieve higher production goals, the industrial system should remain operative for the maximum possible duration. Actually, these systems are subjected to random failure. These failures may be due to the poor design, wrong manufacturing techniques, and lack of operative skills and experience also. Adoption of a poor maintenance policy, power fluctuation, operation at overload or underload, delay in starting the maintenance, delay in getting the equipment behavior information, organizational rigidity and complexity, and many times human error also. Therefore, to compete in the global market, high production and good quality is a must and can be achieved by maintaining the system failure at the lowest possible level, that is a higher system availability, by performing the cost of a very low failure and acquiring the high to high availability. The concept of system reliability. Let's move on. What is the reliability concept? Was developed during the last 6 decades, mainly in the late 1940s and earlier 1950s. The field of communication and the transportation were perhaps the first to witness the rapid growth in the complexity due to the advancements in electronics and control system. Reliability engineering has been stressed for several years in the field of military aircraft manufacturers. In aircraft designs, avionics subsystem was more complex and has been used for the reliability analysis. Reliability technique was used to judge the availability and maintainability of a system. Maintainability and availability are the two main features which are closely related to the reliability. The aim of reliability theory is to evaluate error in the measurement and suggest way of improving the test so that the error are minimized. A reliability, availability, maintainability. The short form is known as RAM, RAM. Theory is very much convenient for the manufacturing industry. Reliability and availability are key attributes of technical system. Although there have been tremendous advances in the art and science of system evaluation, it is very difficult to assess their performance with a very high accuracy and precision. For finding the critical component of a system which affect the system performance mostly, composite measure of reliability, availability and maintainability, that is RAM, name as a RAM index, has been introduced, which includes the effect of failure and repair rate parameter on its performance. Now let's move on the basic concept and definition that is regarding to reliability and use in our manufacturing industry. The first one is the reliability of a system deals with the concept of dependability, successful operation, or the performance and the absence of a failure. It means to say that we can say our system is working in a full availability and the failure is very low and availability is very high. So reliability is the probability that a machine can perform its intended function without failure for a specific interval of a time when operating under standard issue. The above stated definition stresses four significant factors. The first one is probability, the second one is intended function, the third one is time, and the last one is operating condition. These four elements play a very important role in characterizing the reliability of an item. The concept of reliability has been interpreted in the number of different ways, out of which few are listed below. The reliability is the more probability that the device operates without failure or for a given time under the specified operating condition. The second, you can interpret that the reliability of a system is a failure-free operation for a definite period under the given operating condition with minimum time loss for the repair and the preventive maintenance also. The third one is reliability of an equipment is assumed to be capacity of an equipment or to maintain given properties under specified condition for a period of time. If we are going to find out the mathematically method for finding the reliability, then let us consider that the n naught, that is a subscript 0 naught, be the size of population out of which n subscript s units survive the test while nf fail. It means to say we have a total function n naught, total system, subsystem n naught, in which n system work and s system work and nf parts fail. Then the reliability function is given by RT is equal to NS divided by N naught and NS is equal to N naught minus NF divided by N naught. If we are taking differentiation on both sides, we get DRT divided by DT, that is equal to minus 1 upon my N naught differentiation of NF with respect to the T, where N naught is the total parts included in our system, a total population that is included in our system who is considered to be fixed. And the rate at which the component fail can be defined as, from the equation number 2, we are finding the differentiation of NF, that is equal to minus N naught dr upon me dt. Dividing both sides by NS, we obtain the instantaneous probability small rt of a failure, that is given by, if we are dividing the rate of failure component divided by ns, that is rt is equal to 1 upon me ns differentiation of nf, that is equal to minus n naught upon me ns differentiation of rt, capital RT. Dividing both sides with ns, we are getting the result equation number 4. Using 1 and 4, here is the equation number 1, rt, that is equal to ns upon me n naught, and the equation number 4. We get
I request all the participants kindly mute yourself. Mr. Getachew. Ma'am, you can continue, please.
Okay, okay, sir. RT is equal to minus 1 upon my capital RT and a differentiation of capital RT. Integrating on the both side equation number 5, we will get the integration small rt dt, that is equal to the log function minus log of capital RT. And RT is equal to exponentiation of minus 0 to t RT dt. That is a time period between 0 and t. That is a reliability of any system that we can find using this equation 6, 7. Now, moving the next definition, that is a failure rate. We are commonly occur with a failure in our system, and we can define it with a mathematical model. The failure rate is expressed in terms of a failure per unit time. It is computed as a ratio of a number of failures of an item undergoing the test time. And in the mathematics, it is given by lambda is equal to NF divided by T, where lambda is the failure rate, NF represents the number of failure during the test interval, and T represents the total test time. Similarly, we can represent the repair rate time, that is computed by mu, that is equal to NT upon me, NR upon me T, where NR represents the number of repair during the test interval, T is the total test time. Now, if we are talking about the reliability, the next factor will involve, that is availability. Availability is the performance criteria for responsible system that account for both the reliability and maintainability. Aspect of a system, it is defined as the probability that the system is operating properly when it is required for the use. That is, availability is the probability that a system is not in the failed state or undergoing a repair action when it needs to be used. Numerically, the value of availability is expressed as the probability from 0 to 1. The availability calculation take into account both the failure and the repair of the system. For example, if I am taking an example of a lamp, if a lamp has 99.9% availability, then there will be a one timeout of 1,000 that someone need to use the lamp but is non-operational because of switch is broken and or it is waiting for the replacement of a lamp, etc. The next one is availability classification. The definition of availability is somewhat flexible and depending upon what type of downtimes are considered in the analysis. As a result, there are the number of different classification of availability are here. The point availability, average uptime availability, steady state availability, and the operational availability. If I am talking about the point availability, the point and instantaneous ability is the
Dr. Singla. Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Kindly conclude your results, ma'am.
Okay, sir. That the first one is point availability, the second is average uptime availability, and the next is steady state availability and operation availability. Next, the maintainability factor is also including in it, which are the hence the availability of our system by proper maintenance of any system. If we are talking about the maintainability and versus reliability, maintainability is the maintenance that you require for reliability of a system. And renewal theory, as a system fails, we replace it or repair it. Again, system fail, we repair it. Again, system fail, then we again repair it. That concept is called a renewal theory. Now, the system availability depend upon the different factor that we computed here. System availability can be enhanced by using the various techniques as given below: parts improvement method, effective and creative design, systems simplification, structural redundancy, and maintenance and repair. The type of system is non-repairable that we can't repair, and repairable system that we can repair easily or by using different maintenance purposes. The next is the main is the configuration of a system. We have a different type of system here: series system, parallel system, mixed configuration, series parallel, and the parallel scissors. If the system is present in a series system, the reliability is given by the product of reliability of each component, and in the parallel system, it is given by 1 minus product of the failure part of each component, that is 1 minus RIT. And if we have moving on the mixed configuration, that we are a system having main component in the parallel series and sub component in the parallel. Another is main component in the parallel and the sub component in the series. And we are moving on the conclusion. The ability of a complex system has emerged as a thrust area because of occurrence of the industrial event in the industries. The manufacturer are highly concerned about reliability of a system. The manufacturer loses billions of dollars every year as a direct consequences of unreliability of industrial plant in terms of cost and loss production, cost of fixing and replacing equipment, and of course the loss of human life that cannot be measured in terms of money. So I can conclude that in any manufacturing industry, the reliability plays a very important factor for any good production of any industry. Thanks to all listeners. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, ma'am. There are two questions from audience side for you. I'm reading it
Okay,
for you,
sir.
ma'am. What about the validity of your mathematical model, and how many times you can repair the system?
Sir, the last one answer is the how many times we can repair the system. Up to that extent whose availability is good for our manufacturing. Otherwise, we have to replace it. If the cost, maintenance cost is much higher than our production level, then we have to replace it.
Okay. Any other question from audience side? Okay, thank you so much, ma'am, for your nice presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Sir, may I leave?
Yes, sure, ma'am.
Okay, thank you all.
Welcome, ma'am. Now, our next presenter is paper ID 11, Dr. Rajneesh Kumar Rai. Assistant Professor, Department of Mathematics, JP Institute of Information Technology, Noida. His presentation title is Impact of Social Media Advertisements on the Transmission Dynamics of COVID-19 Pandemic in India. Dr. Rajneesh Kumar Rai.
Yes, am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible, sir.
Okay, so let me share my screen.
Yes, sir.
Is it visible to you, sir?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay, so I think everybody know what are the transmission mechanism. We all go through the COVID-19 pandemic, which started like in India. It started on 31st January
Excuse me, sir.
2020. Yeah,
Excuse me, sir. If possible, make it full screen.
yeah. Full
Okay, thank you,
screen.
sir.
It's already in full screen.
Okay, thank you so
So
much.
the title of my talk is the impact of social media advertisement on the transmission dynamics of COVID-19 pandemic in India. We have generally concentrated on the COVID-19 data regarding India. So we know at the early stage of pandemic outbreak, we don't have any vaccination and biomedical intervention. So what government of India initially did they start various types of social media broadcasting to make people aware regarding the risk of infection and what types of control mechanisms you can use, like what types of non-pharmaceutical intervention you can use so that you can avoid their contact with the infected individual. So we can say that at the initial stage of epidemic outbreak, social media plays a very important role to make people aware. Oh, okay. So this is the outline of my presentation. So let me start with very beginning. We know that the infectious diseases are major threat for mankind and also responsible for hindrance in the social and economic development of any countries. And the development of any public health care facility is a very challenging task in front of government and non-government organization. And people face the problems of lack of healthcare facilities. It may be noted that in various countries, the healthcare expenditure on pharmaceutical intervention has much increased in past few decades. So to reduce this expenditure, now governments look for the non-pharmaceutical interventions. And what are the non-pharmaceutical interventions? Non-pharmaceutical intervention are the action that individual can take apart from medication and vaccine, like such as frequent hand washing, use of sanitizer, covering cups and syringes, and keeping distance from the infected person via isolating themselves to limit the spread of disease from the person to person contact. So in this regard, mathematical models plays a very important role to understand what are the transmission mechanism of the COVID-19, how this is spreading, and what types of control mechanism you can use so that you can limit your spread of transmission. So mathematical modeling is essentially consists of translating the real world problems into the mathematical problems using mathematical tools, techniques, and ideas. And after formulation of the mathematical models, we analyze the model system. If our obtained result match with the real world situation, then problem is adequate and process is complete. Otherwise, we will further change in the modeling process and then we will again find some if our result match with real world situation, then problem is adequate, process is complete. Otherwise, we will further make some changes in the modeling process and we will repeat the process again. So initially in year 1927, Cormac McAdip proposed a very simple SIR model to understand the transmission dynamics of infectious disease. He has taken ST is the susceptible population, IT is the infected population, and RT is the recovered population. When susceptible individual comes in contact with infected individual, they become infected and join to the infected class. And after some time, they recovered from the infection. This is a very simple, basic introductory model. So after that, various types of mathematical models have been proposed to understand the transmission dynamics of infectious disease by considering factors, several types of factors like vaccination, what are the impact of vaccination regarding any infectious disease, what types of behavior, what is the impact of behavioral changes and awareness. So my present focus on the behavioral changes and awareness. As we know that media like social media, TV, radio, internet, this plays a very important role at the initial stage of epidemic outbreak. So we can say that media is widely acknowledged as an important intervention to raising issues of the public health care and plays a very promising role to control the infection uh, at the initial stage of the epidemic outbreak. And we know that if people are very much aware from the disease, so they change their behavior and adopt various types of preventive measures so that they can reduce their contact with the infected individual. And we know that nowadays the social media like Facebook, WhatsApp, Twitter, they are the very good mode of transmission of any information regarding any in fact, what types of control mechanisms you can use. So initially, Kapashan and Serial have introduced the concept of the behavioral response in the epidemic model by modifying the contact rate, which allow to assess the impact of psychological effect in the very large number of infectives. And after that, Liu and Q have extended the idea of the mathematical models. They have taken the role of media on the disease outbreak by considering the force of infection is a decreasing function of infected individual. They have taken that due to impact of information campaign. They have taken the constant growth rate of the media campaign, and due to impact of media campaign, susceptible individual avoid their contact with infected individuals so that the contact rate become decreasing factor of this beta to I upon m plus I, so that the contact rate will decrease. And they have also taken the disease induced death rate in the modeling process. And after sometimes people were recovered from the infection, but after some time, whatever people is recovered from the infection, they will again lose their immunity and join to the susceptible class. After that, various types of mathematical models have been proposed, but this model system also has some limitations because here they have not taken media as a dynamic variable, because we know when infection is increased, government also increase various types of social media broadcasting regarding the preventive measures. So we can say that during an epidemic outbreak, information conveyed through media and health authorities become frequent, and more useful information begin to broadcast due to disease prevalence to make people aware regarding the tools and techniques required from the protection. So in this regard, we can say that media campaign does not remains constant, but it will changes with time during an epidemic outbreak. So in this regard, Misra et al. Have proposed a mathematical model by considering media as a dynamic variable. So keeping this idea in our mind, we proposed analyze a nonlinear mathematical model by considering growth rate of broadcasting through social media is proportional to the number of infected individual. But we know that, like in case of COVID-19, we know that at the initial stage, government is propagating. Am I audible? Hello. Hello.
Sir, kindly check your microphone.
I think it's working, sir. Hello.
Okay.
Yeah. So keeping this, because like we know at the initial stage, government is started so much broadcasting regarding COVID-19. But after sometimes when people become aware from the disease, they start reducing the broadcasting through social media. Because if people will become aware from the, because cost is also involved in broadcasting through social media. That's why we have taken the growth rate of broadcasting information campaign will decrease with increase in number of aware individual. And but M0 baseline number of advertisement is always maintained in the system, and we have taken due to impact of information campaigns. Some people will start using various types of preventive measures. They will become aware from the disease and join to the aware class. And after sometimes due to memory fading and other social factor, they will become susceptible from the disease and join to the aware class. But this model system also has some limitation because it may be, this paper is published in MBE. This model system also has, because we know that the social media advertisement is disseminate accurate and reliable information about the disease and create awareness about the transmission and prevention and clear existing myth and misconception what is going on, like in the case of vaccination and all that, and induce behavioral changes at the individual level so that disease prevalence could be minimized. But we know that some people rely on the neighbors and community members rather than social media and internet to reach this fraction of the population. Word of mouth communication like local awareness plays a very important role to disseminate information and imparting the knowledge. Because like if I am very much aware from the disease and what types of preventive measures people should use, so I can make other people aware through word of mouth communication, through phone communication. So this, keeping this idea in mind, we have proposed and analyzed a non-linear mathematical model by considering 4 class of the susceptible, infected and aware class, and the social media broadcasting. In this study, we have taken the growth rate of broadcasting is similar, like proportional to the number of infected individuals. However, this growth rate decreases with increase in number of aware individuals. And M0 baseline number of advertising always maintained in the system. But here we have considered that susceptible individual become aware from the disease when they comes in contact with the aware individual, and as well as due to impact of global information campaign by the any government health authorities, they will become aware from the disease and they will start using various types of preventive measures, non-pharmaceutical interventions, and they will join to the aware class. And after, due to memory fading and other social factors, they become susceptible for the disease and join to the susceptible class. Here A is immigration in the class of the susceptible population. So in the modeling process, we have also considered that, like, if I am very much aware from the disease, but still I have some possibility to become infected by an infected individual, but the transmission of infection is lower than the individual who are not very much aware from the disease. That's why we have taken beta 1, beta AI factor, where beta 1 is lying between 0 and 1, which is less than beta. And here we have taken, after some time, people will recover from the infection. So a fraction of the recovered individual become aware from the disease, and remaining proportion, hopefully small, will become susceptible from the disease. And here alpha is the disease-induced death rate, and D is the natural death rate. This model system, I have analyzed this model. In the modeling process, we have also taken growth rate of broadcasting is time dependent, because government have also have other types of work to development of healthcare facilities and other. So we can say that the broadcasting of social media is time dependent. So this is so if by considering RT as a time dependent, model system will convert into the non-autonomous system. We observe various types of phenomena like 3 periodic solution, Hooke bifurcation with respect to R and beta. So the study, the finding of this paper is that indicates that the broadcasting of information through social media is a crucial factor in the prevention of disease transmission and may be used as a potential strategy in controlling the disease. Okay, so in this context, the public health authorities and policymakers have a major contribution. They should monitor the situation to ensure that intervention studies are being implemented and properly or not. So, like, we are working on the directly transmission disease. Now COVID-19 comes into picture. So at the initial stage, we don't have any vaccination and biomedical intervention. So we are only, we have to rely on the social media broadcasting to make people aware regarding the preventive measure. Keeping this idea in mind, so because we know that the coronavirus pandemic and their new strains are the major threat for mankind, and world globalization has accelerated the rapid spread of infection in a very short period of time. This affects the public healthcare system and also hinder the economic development of developing and underdeveloped countries. Because we know that the COVID-19 is one of the deadliest pandemic in the human history after emergence in Wuhan in December 2019 and then global spread from the February 2020. Okay, so though still the researchers are very actively involved to understand the virus and epidemiology, but accurate knowledge about the disease is still very limited. So this study at the beginning stage of the epidemic outbreak. So this caused the scientific studies to explore and understand the mechanism behind the spread of virus and examine the impact of various pharmaceutical and non-pharmaceutical measures on its control. So in this regard, mathematical models plays a very important role to predict the disease dynamics.
I have a meeting. Okay.
And also assess the efficacy of the intervention strategy in reducing the disease burden. And if we talk about the in Indian perspective, so first confirmed case of the COVID-19 was reported on 30th January 2020, and Government of India declared countrywide lockdown as a preventive measure on 24th March. And Government of India is also continuously using various types of media and social networking website to aware the citizen regarding the current scenario of disease threat and their control mechanisms. They are employing different types of modes of propagating information, including social media, TV, radio, internet, using various types of slogan like stay home, stay safe, be clean, be healthy, no carelessness till medicine is found, दो गज की दूरी, mask है जरूरी, mask and maintaining distance up to yard is necessary. And what is the objective of this mission? Social media campaign is to stimulate people to adopt healthy sanitation practices and frequent hand washing, use of face mask, sanitizer, maintain social distancing, so that they can avoid their contact with infected individual. But however, the factors like very high population density, unavailability of a specific medicine or vaccine, insufficient evidence regarding the transmission mechanism like lack of testing also make it difficult to fight against the disease in India at the initial stage. So keeping this idea in our mind, we have proposed analyze a nonlinear mathematical model. We have taken the 10 dynamic variable. Here ST is the susceptible population and ET is the exposed population. IA is the asymptomatic individuals, the individual who are infected from the COVID-19 but not showing symptoms for the disease. And IS are the symptomatic individual, that means the individual who are COVID-19 infection and showing symptoms for the disease. So in the modeling process, we have assumed that the growth rate of broadcasting is proportional to the symptomatic individual. However, this growth rate will decrease with increase in number of aware individual. We can also observe in real life situation. At the initial stage, government is using so much broadcasting, but when people become enough knowledge about the disease transmission.
Excuse me, Dr. Rajneesh.
Yes,
excuse me, sir. Please
yeah.
conclude your work.
Yeah. So this is the proposed model. So when susceptible individual contact with either symptomatic or asymptomatic individual, they become exposed from the infection and join to the exposed class. A fraction of the exposed individual becomes symptomatic, and the remaining proportion become asymptomatic. But after the individual who are in asymptomatic class, they will start showing symptoms for the disease after some times. So they will become symptomatic. They will join to the symptomatic class, and in the symptomatic class they have some disease induced death rate. And the individual who are in asymptomatic class, they will start following health protocols like self-isolation, social distancing, and they will go to the quarantine compartment. After sometimes they will recover from the infection and join to the recovered class. The individual who have severe symptoms for the disease, they will go to the hospital and join to the hospitalized class. After proper medical facilities and treatment, they will recover from the infection and join to the recovered class. But we can observe in case of second wave, the individual who are recovered from the COVID-19, they have again possibility of reinfection. So we have taken this concept that they will lose their immunity and join to the susceptible class. We have analyzed this model system and find the basic reproduction number, which tells the number of secondary infected produced by an infected individual during his or her whole infection period in entirely susceptible population. Like if R0 is greater than 1, then disease will spread, and if R0 is less than 1, so disease will die out. So we have taken the data at that time from 1st April 2020 to 7 September 2020 from the WHO, and we can say that cases are exponentially increasing. We have also see the global stability behavior of the model system, and here we are seeing that the disease remains endemic in the region under consideration, and we perform the sensitivity analysis to see which parameters are crucial is impacting the system dynamics, and we also say the L2 norm sensitivity and normalized forward sensitivity with respect to R0. And here we can say that if control measures are effectively implemented, so disease can be controlled. And so the findings of our study is that by looking the estimated parameter, it is observed that the rate of disease transmission is very high in India during that period, which is basically implies high infectiousness of disease in India. And the rate of disease transmission need to be controlled, otherwise large population will be affected within a short period of time, which we observed in case during second wave. So our result also suggests that higher intervention efforts should be needed, and within a shorter period of time in India. And our result also reveals that the strength of intervention should be increased over time to eradicate the disease effectively, and population must be vaccinated. And the results obtained by this paper suggest that publicizing information through social media services can be an important factor in suppression of the disease transmission and may be used as a potential strategy at the initial stage of epidemic outbreak. Okay, so level of the awareness should be increased and efforts should be made on radical behavioral changes among the susceptible individual in order to control the COVID-19 in India. So in this context, public health authorities and policymakers should have major contribution to monitor the situation to ensure that the intervention strategy are being implemented properly or not. And the targeted population must be vaccinated to stop the COVID-19 infection so that we can achieve the herd immunity. In this regard, media campaigns should conducted to develop the awareness regarding vaccination, to tell them that in the community to how the COVID-19 can affect you. And after media reporting about the COVID-19, people become aware from the disease threat and start reducing their contact with the other via using non-pharmaceutical intervention. And like government of India imposed lockdown on that time to reduce the social contact. Educational institute arrange online classes and webinar. Our finding also suggests that continuous propagation of awareness through social media and internet platforms should be regularly circulated by the health authorities and government official for the hospitalization of symptomatic individual and quarantine of the asymptomatic individual to control the prevalence of disease in India. So that's all about from my side. Any question? Thank you for your patience.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rajneesh. One question is from audience side.
Yes, sir.
Is it possible to introduce your model to any other queuing system?
Queuing system, I because my model system is very complex, but for the queuing model, if you reduce the dimension and reduce the dynamic variable, so it will be more realistic if you use a queuing model by using data. But
any other question from audience side?
Yes, I have one question, doctor.
Okay,
yes.
you can ask.
Okay, I want ask you one questions. Until now, in your model, use a deterministic model.
Yes.
Why not use a stochastic model?
Yeah. Good, sir. Yeah, because stochastic models will also it will be more realistic. We are working on that types of models, but at the initial stage, we have proposed such types of models. But we are working on the stochastic models. But if you take the stochastic model, so you have to it's very difficult to consider all the factors. Like you can't take Holly type to functional response in the modeling process. Here we have taken the Holling type for functional response because media cannot impact susceptible individual with 100% efficacy to change your behavior. So we are working on that, but yeah, it's good thing. You can also use the stochastic to deal with more realistic situations.
Okay, I have also one more question.
Yes.
As you see, the natural dies rates are the same for all compartments. But why not use different rates for natural dies rate?
Yeah. D is the natural death rate. I'm not getting. Please.
This is a natural dies rate. But as you see, for all the compartments, the same dies rate. Why not use different dies rates for different compartments?
Actually, sir, I'm not getting. Please, could you?
Mr. Teno, if possible, type your question in chat box.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's better to.
Wait. Okay, let us leave to the others. You can't take this
Okay, thank you so much.
assignment, so can't leave it.
Any other questions?
Other question from audience side?
Yes, sir.
Sir, your voice is not clear.
Hello. My voice, sir.
No, sir. He's asking the question. Mr. Sunusi Haruna, your voice is not clear, sir. Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Rajneesh, for your nice
Okay, sir.
presentation.
Okay, sir. Thank
Next
you.
question.
Thank you, sir. Okay, should I stop
Okay, sir.
sharing?
Sir, 1 minute. One
Yeah.
question we received. Is that possible endemic equilibrium point expressed in terms of R naught?
For this model system, it's quite difficult because this is already very complex. For the because each endemic equilibrium R0 in form of R0, I think, sir, we can, but for this model system is complex. Otherwise, for when we are talking about the existence of endemic equilibria, it's basically it will depends on R0, because if R0 is greater than 1, then endemic equilibrium exists. That means a infected individual is capable to infect more than one in a susceptible individual during his or her whole infection period. So obviously, endemic equilibrium will depends on R0. So we can express for this model because it's very complex in nature. So we have applied the graphical approach, so isocline method, by converting these dynamical variable into two equation, and the point of intersection will be the endemic equilibrium. For the simple model, you can express E star, that means in endemic equilibrium in form of R0.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Rajneesh.
Yes. So
Our next presenter is Dr. Kaushik Ghosh, ID number 12. He is assistant professor in the Department of Mathematics, University of Buddhavan, India. His presentation title is A Comparative Study of Individual Dynamics and Reciprocal Interaction in Some Leading Share Markets Before and During the COVID-19 Pandemic. I request Dr. Kaushik Ghosh, please share your presentation.
Yes, am I audible? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay, thank you. Let me share then. Can you see my slide?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay, fine. So let me start, as already the topic has been discussed. So quickly, let me move to the objectives of the present work. So in the fine, I have to say the present work is a study over the prime stock indices of some fiscally prominent countries. And these countries are supposed to be impacted by COVID-19 heavily. The countries are separated in two ways. So we have taken two different branches and two different categorical things. First is the category is based on consideration of the gross total number of infected cases. And in this category, we have taken 7 mostly impacted countries with certain global economic influence. And for the second one, the consideration was of the concentration of the infected cases. And in this category, we have 6 impacted countries with considerable influence. And this sort of categorization is itself a novel novel strategy which is capable of including some less populous but severely impacted countries of economic importance. The other objectives are like this. The next one is in this here, the present analysis is to comprehend the impact of COVID-19 on these markets and to recognize the effect of COVID-19 on mutual association and dependence between these markets. To add flavor of reality, we have taken a new fresh strategy of the time frames under consideration before and during COVID-19 pandemic as uniform. So we have taken even time before the pandemic and during the pandemic time, almost about 1.5 years. So we have used both linear and nonlinear Granger causality analysis and employed generalized forecast error variance decomposition analysis to review the exogeneity and endogeneity in this particular markets. So just to continue with this, we have the idea is the data we have taken and how the data is being processed initially. Here, the study is based on the analysis of the prime stock indices, as already mentioned. And the first category I have mentioned, and here we have taken the countries as you can see the parenthesis, we can see the total number of infected up to say June 2021, we have taken the data. This is the USA, India, Brazil, France, Turkey, UK, and Italy we have taken for the first category. And for the second category, we have taken some of the countries like Sweden, Netherlands, Belgium, Israel, Spain, and Switzerland. The first case of COVID-19, as it was already known, was reported on December 29, 2019 in the Wuhan province of China. And the analysis is performed in 2 time frames termed as pre-COVID period, what we have already mentioned. The time period has been taken from 1st July 2018 to 31st December 2019. This is the first frame we have taken. And during the COVID affected period, we have taken the time frame from the 1st January 2020 to 30th June 2021. And we have taken similar time frame for the pre-COVID and COVID affected periods just to balance the scale to have a more neutral analysis in the subject. And to start with, we have taken the log return series of the prime stock exchanges of the countries. And these are the different prime indices, as you know, AEX indices for the Netherlands, BEL 20 for Belgium, BIST 100 for Turkey, Brazil Bolsa Balcão or B3 for Brazil, BSE Sensex for India, CAC 40 for France, FTSE MIB for Italy, IBX 35 for Spain, London Stock Exchange or LSE for UK, NYSE Composite for USA, OMX Top Home 30, OMX 30 as Sweden, Swiss Market Index or SMI for Switzerland, and TESS for Israel. And as we can see here, if we are having the PT as the daily closing value at any particular day as T, and before that day it was PT by T minus 1. So we have taken the ratio of PT by PT minus 1 and taken the log return value in this manner. And we have taken care of this particular thing just to analyze whether the things are working according to our balance or not. And these are the things here, what we have done. Different stock exchange have different holidays and data over some of the days are not available. So data for the mismatch dates among all the indices are omitted to make the analysis uniform. So we have taken care of that particular thing also as the pre-processing. And number of data points for pre-COVID period and COVID affected period are coming out to be around 227 days and 241 days respectively, almost uniform. The econometric analysis for augmented Dickey-Fuller or ADF unit root test and linear Granger causality test has been performed in this particular thing. And we have taken the package of EViews of 11 packet software. For the nonlinear Granger causality test, we have taken the PC test Win software. And for the particular variance decomposition, we have taken the MATLAB. So let me first come to the very basic analysis. I'm not going to the entire details. This everything is quite detailed here. This is the very first thing just to analyze the stationarity of the data, because at the very beginning, if we want to use the causality analysis, we have to first find out whether it is stationary or not. If it is not stationary, but by taking the subtraction by the ordered method, we have to make it first stationary, then we have to apply the method of the Granger causality or nonlinear causality method. So this is the method augmented Dickey-Fuller unit root test. As you can see here, it is based on the autoregressive model and the equation 1. This is actually the order of this particular autoregressiveness we have taken. And on the basis of that one, we are creating this particular method and we are taking the first difference operator delta t and we are continuing this particular method until we get this particular df. This is the particular parameter which is greater than the critical value at the specified level of the significance. Some set of significance. On the basis of that point, we have to move forward further, and until we reach that particular level, we will proceed in that manner. So next we are coming to the multivariate vector regression and linear Granger analysis. So I will be talking here about the linear process as well as the nonlinear process. Let me come to the first linear process. Here again, we are believing in the very first fact about these autoregressive, and that means a linear particular memory of this particular data. And we are using this method as some lag we are taking into account. And this is there some world test. This is again performed. And this is particular the statistic what we are having for the world method. This is based on some chi-square technique. And here we are creating the null hypothesis and the alternative hypothesis in that manner. And if this particular value of these W is greater than the critical value at a specified level, then the null hypothesis can be rejected. Otherwise, we have to accept the null hypothesis. So this is actually the process for the linear method of the causality. Let me come to the nonlinear Granger causality. Here, please remember that we are not taking into account any kind of autoregressiveness, because in the form of autoregressiveness, we have to first understand or assume that we are having kind of linear memory. Here we are assuming that linear memory is not presumed here. So we are taking some kind of F distribution. And on the basis of these F distribution, as we can see here, this method is being proposed. And further, Himenstra and Jones use the correlation integral estimator here as in this form. And this is the modified version of these nonlinear Granger causality method. And this is being here used in the particular process. So at the very beginning, let me have the descriptive statistics for the COVID period. These are the different that we have taken in the particular process. These are the pre-COVID period time. We are having different indices, and you can see different statistical parameters as in the table form. And for the same case, we are having the particular cases of the results. Yeah, this descriptive statistics table for the log return data in the COVID affected period for the same particular countries. And we are now having these correlation result for the log return data. As we have seen that this is the one half or the one particular half triangle we have taken for the matrix. You know, if we are going to deal with the correlation between any I and j, then of course the correlation for j and I will be equal. That's why this will be a symmetric case. So we have not taken care of the other half of the triangle. We have taken one particular triangle, as you can see here, and these are omitted because with the self we are not going for the any operation. It will produce one. For the other things, we are maintaining the particular answer, and the bold values are suggesting some greater value of the correlation is coming. But please remember the correlation values are taken only at the very primary level, because correlation can initiate what kind of linear relationship we are having between different indices. But that cannot be an idea what is the interpretation of that influence. One is influencing the second one, or the second one is influencing the first one, or both are influencing each other. That is not clear from the correlation. But as a pre-processing at the very initial level, we have taken the correlation between different indices, as we have seen. So this is the next table where we have taken the COVID affected period, and these particular indices are again taken for their mutual correlation analysis. The bold values are giving some higher values of the correlation once again. This is the analysis what we have gone for. We want to see in the pre-COVID period and the post-COVID period for this particular different indices what we have taken for, are we getting finally the stationarity or not? If initially it is not available, we make certain orders and finally make it stationary. And you can see here at the last column, everything is finally satisfied as a stationary. So after having the stationarity, we are now moving for the further analysis. So this is the first thing. This is the linear Granger causality world test based on the variance analysis. And this is done over the log return data of these different indices. And this is the period what we have taken as the pre-COVID period. So these are the results what we are getting for this present analysis. As you can see, different parameters are coming out. And this is the next one. This is linear Granger causality during the COVID affected period. Same parameters are being analyzed in the case. I will show you the figure where the different correlations and different mutual what should I say, mutual dependence is quite visible among these particular countries. Here, just have the particular data. And now we are moving to the pairwise nonlinear Granger causality. As we have already taken care of the linearity, let me come to the nonlinear aspect. And this is the first data, first table for the pre-COVID period between this particular indices, and this is for the particular COVID affected period. And now, as you can see here, these are the different, this particular nodes are giving us the idea about these particular indices, what we have taken care for. And these particular arrows are giving you the idea which is exogenous and which is endogenous. Exogenous means it is actually spreading the influence, and endogenous means it is accepting the influence. So you can see at the same levels, we are having both side arrow. That means they are mutually influenced. One side arrow means the arrow portion is deriving the idea that it is receiving the influence. The other portion is actually just spreading that particular influence. So this is that particular figure. This is done for the linear Granger causality Volt test based on the FICRRM model for log written data. This is done for the pre-COVID period. And you can see some of the portions being changed here. And this is for the pictorial representation among these particular indices. And this is for the COVID affected period. So if you just look through this particular figure, the things are actually changed during this particular COVID affected period for the linear analysis. And this is for the nonlinear analysis. The pre-COVID period and COVID affected period we have taken care for in one single shot. And this is the analysis what we are getting for this particular nonlinear case. So let me have the conclusion what we have drawn actually here. First of all, COVID pandemic may have changed the underlying relationship among prime stock markets of most affected countries. Some exogenous, as I mentioned, stock markets may have become endogenous and vice versa in the pandemic. Linear relationship may have been reduced drastically in COVID affected period, and nonlinear relationship possibly has been enhanced. So that is one particular risk coming from the present analysis. And most of the countries may have become independent markets. That means they are not making any influence or getting any influence from other particular countries for time being. This may not be permanent. This is anti-persistent perhaps, though there is prediction to recover the interrelationship in future. It is advisable to maintain international diversification to enjoy possible gain in this pandemic affected time. Though I'm saying it loosely, but I'm feeling for particular analysis that this may happen in this near future. To sum up, the present work indicates an emergence of a new market dynamics in the pan-world level. A very important interrogation in this aspect is the sustainability of these newer patterns and trends. That is the point, is a point of concern, whether this particular newly framed patterns will be sustainable or not. That is the main question. Some analysis regarding the persistence have been performed here, but still some of the things are to be done. A more comprehensive and reliable study can be made upon the availability of more number of data. So these are the references what we have used for the present analysis. As you can see, this is the rest of references as continued here again. These are the references once again, and this is the final shot of the reference. So thank you very much for your very kind patience and collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kaushik, for your wonderful presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, from the audience side, we have two questions.
Yes.
What is the source of your data, and what is the validity of the data you used?
Validity in that sense, a source I can say.
It's a time series.
What's your question?
I can show you the sources. In the references, we have just mentioned these sources. Some of the data has been taken from the Yahoo Finance. Some of them may not be available in Yahoo Finance. We have taken some other particular, as you can see, reference number 47. There are some of the references, reference number 39, reference number 40, 37, 36. These are the particular references we have taken, 36 to 40 and this 47. These are the prime references from which we have taken the data. And what is about the next one? Validity means, in which sense validity?
Okay, David, one more question is there, sir. Is it possible to introduce fuzzy systems in your methods?
Fuzzy system? Yeah, I have not worked in the fuzzy system. And yeah, the point is when we are thinking to introduce the fuzzy system, the main concern is some kind of qualitative approaches are to be taken, and we have to make it quantifiable, and then further make it dequantified and make it again qualitative. So this analysis perhaps may be done. But most importantly, what is happening in this particular study, we have all the particular features what we have taken in the present analysis are quantitative. So if there is any particular feeling, some of the parameters are coming to be say high or very high or low or moderate, these issues are coming out, then of course we have to take care of this fuzzy process. But here actually we're not having any particular feature as this particular way. So we have not taken the fuzzy analysis in this process.
Okay, sir. Thanks for your explanation. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much,
sir.
sir, for your nice presentation.
Thank you very much.
Next presenter is Dr. Harsha Kharbanda, ID number 13, guest faculty in the Department of Mathematics, University of Delhi, India. The presentation title is Chaotic Dynamics in Cannibalistic Prey-Predator System with Harvesting. Dr. Harsha Kharbanda, are you available?
Yes, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now I'm sharing my screen. May I know, is it visible?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible. Please make it full screen.
Yeah, it is now. Can I start?
Sure, ma'am.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Harsha Kharbanda from Department of Mathematics, Miranda House College, University of Delhi. The title of my presentation is Chaotic Dynamics in a Cannibalistic Prey-Predator System with Harvesting. This is the overview of my presentation. We'll start with the introduction and then model formulation, and the rest will be followed by these two. Mathematical modeling. Mathematical modeling is an art of translating real-world problems from an application area into the mathematical formulations. Mathematics can be applied to various systems in nature in order to gain qualitative as well as quantitative insight to the systems. So, mathematical modeling is a process of representing applications in mathematical terms in an attempt to find out the solutions of the problem. As we know, population can interact with each other in numerous ways. Competition and predation are two different types of interactions for which ecologists show their interest. That is why mathematical modeling helps us to better understand the role species play within their communities. Since I have considered cannibalism in my prey-predator model, so what is cannibalism? Cannibalism is an act of consuming another individual of the same species as the food. It can happen within the same species and is a very common ecological interaction in the animal kingdom. And also, it has been recorded in more than 1500 species. Apart from cannibalism, I have also considered harvesting in my prey-predator model. So, harvesting has a strong impact on the dynamic evolution of this population. Therefore, the involvement of harvesting factor will increase the significance of the systems. A system is said to be chaotic if it is highly sensitive to the initial condition, and I have used the concept of maximum positive Lyapunov exponent to prove the detection of the chaos in my system. The prey-predator model which I have considered, in which the predator population is divided into two different categories, the adult predator and the juvenile predator, whose population densities are considered to be as capital X and capital Y respectively, and the prey species at time t is considered to be as the capital Z. So using these notations, the mathematical model is formulated, which is given as equation number 1. The first equation corresponding to the equation of adult predator population. The second equation dy by dt is corresponding to the juvenile predator population. And the third one, that is dz by dt, is corresponding to the prey population. And the parameters which we have used while formulating this model, together with their biological and ecological meaning, is described by this table. To simplify our model, as we can see, there are in all 12 parameters which we have to use to formulate the model. So for the simplification, I have used non-dimensional scheme by using the dimensionless variables and dimensionless parameters given by equation number 2, such that the mathematical model in the dimensionless form is represented by equation number 3. Now, the equation 1, the main proposed model, having the 12 parameters in all, but by using the non-dimensional scheme, we have only 7 parameters in the system number 3. All the solutions of the system are proved to be positive and bounded under the condition number 4. After formulating the model, our first step is to find out the critical points, or we can say the equilibrium points. So in all, for the proposed model, we would be having 3 different types of equilibrium points. The first one is trivial equilibrium point, or we can say the zero equilibrium point, which exist always. Second one is prey-free equilibrium point, in which we don't have any prey population, only predator populations is present, where the x and y components are given by expression 5. And the last one is the interior equilibrium point, E2. This is the most important equilibrium point, as this is representing the coexistence of all the species which we have considered. And the components of x, y, z for the interior equilibrium points is given by equation number 6. While defining the equilibrium points, we have also found the conditions for the existence of equilibrium points. For analyzing the stability near the equilibrium points, we have used the concept of Jacobian matrix, and the Jacobian matrix for the model is given by this matrix J. And for analyzing the stability near the equilibrium point, we have used the linearization theorem. The trivial equilibrium point E0 is found to be locally asymptotically stable whenever the conditions number 7 satisfied. Yeah. And the equilibrium point E1, whenever it exists, is found to be locally asymptotically stable whenever the condition number 8 satisfied. And the following graphs showing the regions where we would be having the prey-free equilibrium points to be the stable as well as the unstable regions under certain conditions. The interior equilibrium point E2, whenever exists, is found to be locally asymptotically stable whenever the inequality 9 is satisfied. And under certain set of parameters, we have found the positive equilibrium point is locally asymptotically stable, which can be seen through this graph. After local asymptotically stability, we have also checked about the global stability analysis near the equilibrium point by assuming the equilibrium point E1 to be locally asymptotically stable. This prey-free equilibrium point E1 is found to be globally asymptotically stable whenever the conditions given by 10 are satisfied. Also, by supposing the interior equilibrium point E2 to be locally asymptotically stable, and then this interior equilibrium point E2 is found to be globally asymptotically stable whenever the inequality given by 11 is satisfied. Bifurcation theory. In the study of dynamical systems, a bifurcation occurs when a small smooth change made to the parameter values of a system causes a sudden qualitative change in its behavior. In the literature, we would be having many different types of bifurcation, and for the proposed system, the system experiences a transcritical bifurcation at the prey-free equilibrium point whenever we are considering the harvesting parameter in the prey population as the bifurcation parameter. So the following graphs showing that whenever the harvesting parameter crosses its critical value, then we can change the exchange in the stability of two different equilibrium points, that is the prey-free equilibrium point and the interior equilibrium point. In the very first graph, whenever H2 is less than towards its critical value, then the prey-free equilibrium point is found to be unstable, wherever the interior equilibrium point is stable. As we can see in the graph A, all the trajectories are moving towards the interior equilibrium point only. Whereas in the another graph, it can be seen that the prey-free equilibrium point is found to be stable, whereas the interior equilibrium point is unstable. So that is the transcritical bifurcation, which is showing the exchange in the stability within two different equilibrium points. System also experiences the Hopper bifurcation around the interior equilibrium point with harvesting parameter of the adult predator population as the bifurcation parameter under the condition given by 12. And the following graphs are showing the existence of stable limit cycle, as whenever system experiences Hopper bifurcation, that means we would be having periodic solutions around the equilibrium points. And the next graph is showing the time series for the population at the critical value. In the numerical simulation, we have observed about the effect of cannibalism in a harvesting system. That means we have observed the W1 and W4 are the two parameters which are related to the cannibalistic parameters in the system. So therefore, by fixing all the parameters instead of these two, we would be having two cases. The very first case, if we are fixing the parameter W1 and keep varying W4 cannibalistic parameter, then we would be observing that the graph A, which is related to the dynamic behavior of the adult predator population. So by fixing this W1 parameter and keep varying the W4 parameter, we have observed that the adult predator population is found to be constant. But the graph B, which is showing the dynamic behavior of the juvenile predator population. So by keep increasing the parameter value of W4, we have observed the reduction in the juvenile predator population. While C graph showing the dynamic behavior of the prey population, and we have observed the increment in the prey population while increasing the parameters value W4. Similarly, in the case 2, while consideration of W4 keep fixing and keep varying the W1 parameter, we have observed that the adult population and the juvenile predator population are both tending towards to a constant value, whereas the reduction in the density of prey population is observed while increasing the parameter value of W1. So this is showing the influence of cannibalism in the harvesting system. Later on, we have shown the existence of chaos as the system is found to be chaotic by the criteria which we have used of maximal Lyapunov constant exponent. Whenever the maximal Lyapunov exponent is found to be positive, that will be implying the system is chaotic. And whenever the maximal Lyapunov exponent is non-positive, would be implying the non-chaotic of the system. Apart from this, the evaluation of Kaplan-Yorke dimension would be guaranteeing about the chaotic system by using the formula given by 15. So whenever we would be able to find out the calculation of Kaplan-Yorke dimension as the fractional number, then the system is proved to be chaotic. And for the proposed model, we have found the computation of Kaplan-Yorke dimension is found to be 2.0028, which is a fraction number. And the following graphs showing the dynamics of Lyapunov exponents and the chaotic attractor with the fractal type structure. In the first graph, where we have shown the dynamics of Lyapunov exponents, we can see under certain set of parameterization, the very first Lyapunov exponent is found to be positive. That means the maximal Lyapunov exponent is found to be positive, and the another one is found to be nearly to be 0, and the third one is the most negative one. And since due to the existence of maximal Lyapunov exponent to be positive, one nearly to be 0, and the third one to be the negative, so that rule will be proving about the detection of chaos for the proposed model. And definitely we would be having an chaotic attractor, and the attractor is shown by the graph B. And the evolution of maximum Lyapunov exponent is shown by these graphs. As we can say, by increasing the time from 3000 to 10,000, the maximum Lyapunov exponent is still positive, which is indicating about the which is indicating about the chaotic system. On conclusion, we have considered a stage-structured prey-predator model, including cannibalism in the prey-predator population and harvesting in both the population. And we have noticed all the equilibrium points are found to be conditionally stable. System experienced transcritical and the Hope bifurcation, and the system is also found to be chaotic with the criteria that the maximum Lyapunov exponentum is positive. And the numerical simulation shows the chaotic as well as the periodic oscillation. Here are some selected references. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Harsha, for your very nice presentation.
Thank you, sir.
I request all the participants kindly mute yourself. Dr. Harsha, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Ma'am, there are two questions. What do you mean by transcription bifurcation?
Sir, there is a lot of disturbance in.
What do you mean by transcritical and bifurcation?
Okay. Basically, transcritical bifurcation is the bifurcation behavior in which we will be having the existence of two different equilibrium points such that the exchange of the stability be seen whenever the bifurcation parameter crosses the critical value. Also, the Hope bifurcation, the existence of Hope bifurcation would guarantee about the chaotic solution for the proposed system.
Excuse me, ma'am. Kindly hold. I request all the participants kindly mute yourself. All are requested kindly mute yourself.
Send out.
Yes, Dr. Harsha,
Yes, sir. Would
are
I
you there?
repeat? Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Please give reply.
All right, sir. The transcritical bifurcation is the one in which we would be having two different equilibrium points. They will definitely exist. And the transcritical bifurcation is the occurrence in which we would be able to see the stability switches between these two equilibrium points whenever the bifurcation parameter crosses its critical value. And about the Hopper bifurcation, the occurrence of Hopper bifurcation would guarantee about the limit cycles, or we can say the periodic solutions for the proposed system.
Okay, ma'am. You have fixed some values of the parameters. Is there any method of selection or you select randomly?
No, sir. For some values, I have taken some references, and some of the parameter values are my own parameterization, just by taking care of the inequalities, the conditions which I have found for the stability as well as the existence of the equilibrium points.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. Any question from audience side?
Yes, doctor, I have one question.
Okay, you
Okay.
can ask.
From dimensionless model, you get equilibrium point in terms of new variable. But how to know the effect of original parameter on the analysis?
So since in the while defining the non-dimensional scheme, we have seen the relation between the new parameters as well as the old parameters. So while consideration of the new parameters, we can also move to the old parameterization so that the resultant would be the same. We would get the same result, the same analysis for the model. So by consideration of the non-dimensional scheme is just for the simplification for our model, as in the proposed system, we have 12 parameters in all, but after simplification, we have only 7. So that is just for the simplification for the model. But since there is a relation between these parameters, so we can definitely get back to the main model by using that critic formulas which we have used.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, our next presenter is Mrs. Savita, ID number 14. She is Assistant Professor in the Department of Mathematics, Hindu College, Sonipat, Haryana, India. Her presentation title is Stochastic Analysis of Two-Unit Redundant System with Correlated Lifetime. Ma'am, are you available?
Yes, sir.
Okay, ma'am. Please share your screen.
Yes. Sir, is it visible?
No, ma'am, it's not visible.
Sir, now is it visible?
It's not visible, ma'am.
Sir, how to share?
Go to the share option and select window.
Sir, I am sharing, but I don't know why it is not visible to you. Sir, now is it visible?
No, ma'am, it's not visible. Okay, ma'am, try to fix your problem. Let me call the next presenter, Mr. Pratik Lepse, ID number 15, is a research scholar in the Department of Mathematics, Lovely Professional University, Punjab, India. His presentation title is Domain Wall Bulk Viscous Cosmology in FRT Theory of Gravitation. Mr. Pratik Lepse.
Yes, sir.
Are you there, sir?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Okay, sir. Please share your screen.
It is visible?
Yeah, it's visible, sir.
Can I start, sir? The first international conference on recent researches in mathematics. My topic is domain wall bulk viscous cosmology in FID theory of gravity. I am Pratik Lepse from the Department of Mathematics, Lowly Professional University, Jalandhar, Punjab. Abstract. We construct the Bianchi type 3 cosmological model with bulk viscous domain wall in the theory of FID gravity. We solve the field equations by using the variation law or generalized Hubble parameters proposed by Berman. We obtain two types of values for the average scale factor. One is of power law type and other is of exponential form. We find the values of
Excuse me, Mr. Pratik.
Sorry?
Your voice is not clear, sir.
So now, sir?
Yeah, it's clear now.
Okay. We find the values of different physical parameters of the models and compare them with the recent observational data. Further, we discuss the physical and geometrical properties of the model. Introduction. The general relativity was introduced by Einstein in 1915, which is the geometric theory of gravitation. Till today, it is the most successful theory of gravitation in terms of consistency and completeness. The cosmology is the branch of science that deals with the structure of the universe at large scale. In order to understand the cosmological models, general relativity is used as a basic building block which provides the gravitational interaction successfully. In this work, we have explored the bulk viscous cosmological models which involve a domain wall in the view of FID gravity. In the early universe, domain walls are considered topological defects which appear during the phase transition of the universe. Some of the other topological defects include monopoles, cosmic streaks, and some structures. Domain walls are formed when a discrete symmetry is broken spontaneously. The FID modified theory of gravity will be considered another extension of standard general relativity. The gravitational Lagrangian is denoted by an arbitrary function of the Ricci scalar R and a trace of the stress energy tensor T. The FID gravity model is based on the source term by representing the variation of matter stress energy tensor concerning the metric. In the view of domain bulk and the bulk viscosity in the early universe motivates us to study the cosmological bulk viscous fluid model with the domain wall in the theory of FID gravity. Now, let us consider the Bianchi type 3 metric in the form which is given by equation number 1, where A, B, and C depend on the cosmic time T and P, which is constant. The energy momentum tensor for bulk viscous domain wall is expressed by Tij is equal to rho plus vector P ui uj minus vector P gij, which is given by equation number 2. Here, vector P is equal to P minus 3 xi h, which is given as the bulk viscous pressure. Here, we consider the model of FID gravity, which is given by FIT is equal to N1 R plus N2 T, with N1 is given by mu R and N2 is equal to mu T. Now, for the field equation of this model, in the view of the model, the related field equations are expressed as, which is given by equation number 4, which is a modified equation of general relativity. Now, incorporating the equation 2 in equation 4 for the metric 1, which we get the field equation of the type, which is given by equation number 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. By using this equation or using the equation number 8, we can convert again this field equation and we get another type of field equation by given by equation number 10, 11, and 12. In terms of the metric potential A, that is the scale factor V, which is volume, are defined as the average scale factor A is equal to ABC raised to the power 1 by 3, and the volume V is equal to A cube, which is given by ABC. Here, this law is called as the volumetric equation law, and by this volumetric law, we get the two models or two types of model, which is exponential law and power law, where A of t is equal to A naught e power dt if m is equal to 1, that is for exponential law, and we get the second value of scale factor is m into dt plus d naught into raised to the power 1 by m if m not equal to 0, which is called as the power law, where A naught and d naught are the constant of integration. Now, for the case 1, that is m is equal to 0, which is for the exponential law, in this case, the average scale factor is expressed as A is equal to A naught e power dt. From the equation 20, we get the volume for this case 1, that is A naught e power dt raised to the power 3. By using this value, we get the values of A, B, and C, which is given by equation number 22. And from this value of A, B, C, we put these values in the general equation, general field equations. We get the values for the bulk viscous pressure, rho, that is energy density, by equation number 24. Here, in the case 1, that is for exponential law, we can put P is equal to 0, N is equal to 1 minus 2, and beta is equal to 3 into 1 plus alpha. By putting these equation values, we get the values of pressure and omega, that is an equation of state parameter, which is given by equation number 27. Now, for case 2, that is for power law equation for m not equal to 0, we get the scale factor A is equal to m into dt plus d naught raised to the power m 1 by m, and the volume, which is given by equation number 32. Again, we get the values for A, B, C for case 2, which is given by equation 33 and 34. And by putting these values of A, B, C, we get the values for bulk viscous pressure P, which is given by 35, energy density, which is given by 36, and the pressure, which is given by 37, and average dark energy equation of state parameter omega, which is given by equation number 38. Now, the required metric, that is d square for the first case, that is exponential law, and the required metric for the case 2, that is power law, which is given as below. Now, the physical parameter for the both the cases, that is the scalar expansion shear scalar, that is sigma square, mean Hubble parameter H, and the mean anisotropy parameter AM, which is given for both the cases, case 1 and case 2. We can find out these values. Now, conclusion. In this manuscript, we have presented the effect of bulk viscosity and domain wall in the context of FRT gravity. In the view of the evolution of the scale factor, the solution are derived from m is equal to 0 and m not equal to 0, that is for exponential law and for power law. The physical quantities involved in this model are constant in case 1, whereas for case 2, expect the mean Hubble parameter, all other depend on cosmic time t. It is noted that the volume of the universe is increasing exponentially, and some power of 3 by m of cosmic time t for case 1 and case 2 respectively. The mean anisotropic parameter, that is AM, is independent of time in both the cases, which indicate that the constructed model are anisotropic in nature throughout the evolution. Further, in the both cases, the bulk viscosity coefficient is noticed on the pressure of the domain wall and the equation of state parameter omega. However, it does not affect the domain wall density and the effective pressure. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Any question from audience side? Any question from audience side? Okay, sir. Thank you so much for your wonderful presentation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Welcome, sir. Mrs. Savita, are you available there?
Yes, sir.
Is it your problem sorted out?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you can present, ma'am.
Sir, now is it visible?
It's not visible, ma'am. Mrs. Savita, are you able to share your screen?
Sir, I'm trying.
Okay. I think it's better to move next presenter. ID number 16, Mr. Deepankar Chaudhary, lecturer in the Department of Mathematics, is Serampur College, West Bengal, India. The topic of presentation is study of instability of two interfacial waves in the presence of a basic current shear. Mr. Deepankar Chaudhary,
Yes, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
My slide is visible?
Your screen is visible, sir. Yeah, it's visible now.
Okay. Can I start?
Sure, sir, sure.
Oh, okay. Good evening to all. Now,
Good evening, sir.
So my topic for this prestigious seminar is study of instability for two interfacial waves in the presence of a basic current share by Dipankar Chaudhuri, me, Rampur College, and my supervisor, Professor Somadev Sharma, Department of Applied Mathematics, University of Calcutta. Now, first I want to give a small introduction of my topic. In ocean as well as in rivers, waves train frequently encounter a pre-existing current field. When the waves interact with a current, the parameter that characterize the wave system undergo changes. The propagation of free surface waves on shear current and the effect of current on wave evolution has been a topic of interest for nearly half of a century. Ruban studied weakly nonlinear interaction between a quasi-monochromatic wave system and a potential flow, which has a similar with the flow, a flow above an inhomogeneous sea bottom. Ruban made an investigation on modulation and instability of a weakly nonlinear wave system when it interacts with large-scale steady non-potential flow having similarity with jet types of flows. Topoil carried out experimental investigation to study nonlinear dynamics when random unidirectional and directional wave fields interact with an opposing current gradient. They found that the presence of adverse current gradients can enhance the occurrence of extreme Hello.
Yes, sir.
I think someone is trying to sharing.
Mrs. Savita, please don't try to share your screen. You can share after this presentation. Mr. Dipankar, you can carry on, please.
Okay. So, Topoil carried out experimental investigation to study nonlinear dynamics when random unidirectional and directional wave fields interact with an opposing current gradient. They found that the presence of above current gradient can enhance the occurrence of extreme events in a random wave field. Dhar and Das obtained fourth-order nonlinear evolution equation for an interfacial gravity wave propagating in the presence of a basic current share. In their module fluid, both sides of the interface extend up to infinity. The present work is an extension of the study of Dhar and Das to the case of two obliquely interacting interfacial waves. A pair of coupled nonlinear evolution equations are derived which are correct up to Targarin wave stiffness here. These two equations are useful for performing stability analysis of a pair of obliquely interacting uniform stroke wave streams. Result of stability analysis both for bidirectional and unidirectional perturbation are well illustrated. Now this comes to the basic equation. The basic equations are given by equation number 1 and 2, where initially we have chosen a Cartesian system of coordinate O, X, Y, Z with Z equal to 0 plane at the undisturbed interface. And we have chosen two obliquely interacting interfacial waves with carrier wave number K, L and K, minus L. And Z equal to tau X, Y, T is at the equation to the common interface at any time T in the perturbed state. And also phi I, psi I, rho I is the velocity, potential, stream function, and the density, etc. The condition at infinity are given by equation number 3 and 4. The kinematic boundary condition given by equation number 5 and 6. The dynamic boundary condition to be satisfied at the interface is given by equation number 7, where g is the acceleration due to gravity. Also, the phi I and psi I satisfy the Cauchy-Riemann equation given by equation number 8. Now we configure a solution for the previous equation, which is of the form G given by equation number 9, where capital G stands for zeta, phi I, psi I, and chi1, chi2 are given as follows. Now the linear dispersion relation is given by equation number 10. Now, substituting the equation 9 to the equation 1 and 2 and following the standard multiple scale method, we derive a set of two nonlinear evolution equations correct up to order of epsilon cube. We have also used the following dimensionless variable given by equation number 11. So finally, we obtain two nonlinear evolution equation correct up to third order for two interfacial waves given by equation number 12 and 13, where the coefficients are given as follows. Where here the prime notation have been removed. If we set sigma 1 and sigma 2 and rho is 0, the coefficient of the evolution equation 12 and 13, we find the evolution equation of Oronato et al. Also configuring L equal to 0, we observe that the coefficient beta 1, beta 3 and lambda 1 match with the corresponding coefficient of evolution equation of Dhar and Das. Now comes to the stability analysis. Uniform solution of the equation 12 and 13 have been configured as given by equation number 14 and 15. Where alpha 10 and alpha 01 are two real constants, delta omega 1, delta omega 2 are nonlinear frequency shift given by equation number 16. To study stability of uniform solution 14 and 15, we introduce the following infinitesimal perturbation given by equation number 70, where tau f is equal to tau fr real part plus I tau fi, imaginary part. Similarly, tau h is equal to tau sr plus I tau si. So, setting the time dependence of the perturbed variable to be of the form exponential I sigma tau, we obtain the following nonlinear dispersion relation given by equation number 18, where sigma 1, sigma 2 and are given as follows. So, for unidirectional perturbation along y direction, k is equal to 0. In this case, nonlinear dispersion relation given by equation number 18 can be solved exactly as follows, given by equation number 19 by solving the equation number 19. Hello. Okay. Where f plus minus is given by as follows. Now finally the instability condition is given by the equation number 20. Therefore, the growth rate of instability and the maximum growth rate of instability are defined by equation number 21 and 22. So these are the figures. In the first figure, I have shown the contour plot of growth rate of instability in the perturbed wave number for different value of rho, sigma 1 and sigma 2. Similarly, in the second figure, contour plot of the perturbed wave number at marginal stability in the alpha 10 and alpha 01 plane for rho, value of rho, sigma 1 and theta. And similarly, in the third figure, we have shown the contour plot of the perturbed wave number at marginal stability in the sigma 1 minus sigma 2 plane. For the presence of first wave package only, we can consider alpha 01 equal to 0 in equation 22, and the resulting expression of maximum GR is similar with the equation of Dhar and Das, correct up to third order. Contour block of growth of instability in the Parker wave number plane for rho equal to 0.0012 and for different values of sigma 1, sigma 2 of alpha 10, alpha 0 are given and is graphically presented in figure 1. Figure 2 and figure 3 are the contour plot of the Parker wave number at marginal stability for the case of unidirectional Parker. So now come to the conclusion. We have derived two coupled nonlinear evolution equation for two obliquely interacting interfacial waves in the presence of a basic current share in a two-fluid domain, both of which extend up to infinity. Figure shows the growth rate of instability in the Parker wave number plane for different values of wave stiffness, uniform vorticity for the two cases, air worker model and Bosniak approximate model. We conclude from the figure that the region of instability reduces due to the presence of vorticity in either or both medium. So these are the references I have used. Here are 10 references I have used, and finally, thank you. So that's all for my part.
Mr. Dipankar, I'm sorry to say that your slides were not visible. I think you are sharing from your mobile.
Yes.
I request all the presenters don't use your mobile while the presentation.
Okay.
Always share your slides, either your laptop or the desktop.
Okay.
By the way,
okay. I will.
Any question from the audience side?
Yes, sir.
Sir, I'm asking to audience, is there any question? Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Okay.
Mrs. Savita, are you there? Mrs. Savita?
No. Sir, I have a question. Can I ask? Sir, small question I have. Yes. Sir, actually, in the presentation list, my name was spelled wrongly. My name, correct spelling is Dipankar, not double K. Yeah.
Okay.
Even double K. So please configure
I will
single
take
K.
care of it.
Okay.
Okay, sir. I will take care of it. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Now, Mrs. Savita, are you there?
Sir,
Are you able to share your screen?
Yes.
Mrs. Savita?
sir, is it visible now?
No, it's not visible. Go to share option and select window.
Sir, I selected.
Okay, so tomorrow is happening.
Okay, ma'am, you can present tomorrow. We will give you a chance tomorrow morning. Now let me call paper ID 17, Mr. Deraje Tigabu Mulune, lecturer in the Department of Mathematics, Debark University, Ethiopia. The topic of presentation is generalized divisibility property of Mulatu numbers and its explicit representation. Mr. Deraje.
Yes.
Your slides are visible.
Yeah, thank you very much. The host as well as the participant and the presenter. My paper is entitled about generalized divisibility property of Mulatu number and its explicit representation. The outline of the presentation is composed of four parts. The first one is introduction and background, and the main results of the research work, and third conclusion, and finally the reference. Now let us move to the introduction part. Mulatu number is already a sequence of numbers which is similar to Fibonacci, near to Fibonacci number. A number is recently introduced by Mulatu number as Ethiopia mathematicians and professors of mathematics at Sabah State University. Mulatu numbers are a sequence of numbers of the form 4, 1, 5, 6, 11, just like this one. And mathematically, we can express as follow: 4, 1, and mn minus 1 plus mn minus 2 when n is greater than or equal to 0. And after saying this one, let's move to the other background that help us to do the main result. The first one is the definition of what the recurrence relation means. A recurrence relation is a formula that relates from any integer n greater than 1, the n terms of a sequence, a is equal to r runs from 0 to infinity to 1 or more of the terms of the previous terms. And a recurrence relation of order k is just, it is a function of the form an is equal to 5 an minus 1 up to an minus k with n. That means if it is expressed in terms of the previous n minus 1, n minus k or k terms of a sequence, and a linear case order recurrence relation with constant coefficient is a recurrence relation of the form described here. And if Fn here, if Fn is 0, we call it homogeneous recurrence relation. A homogeneous second order recurrent relation with constant coefficient, which has the form here. That means where S and T are constants with T differ from 0, and associated with this recurrence relation or constant recurrence relation, we have a corresponding quadratic polynomial with the above recurrence relation. This quadratic equation is called characteristic polynomials of the given recurrence relations. Next, suppose the characteristic polynomial so of x is given in this way of a recurrence relation, then an means defined as an is equal to s times an minus 1 plus t times n minus 2 has distinct roots r1 and r2. That means in the previous I stated that this is the recurrence, the characteristic polynomial is a given recurrence relation. So the root of this is say r1 and r2. Then the general solution of the given recurrence relation is defined as follows: n is equal to c1 times r1 to the power of n plus c2 r to the power of n. Now let's move to binomial theorems. The coefficients of x to the power of n minus k yk is an expansion of x plus y to the power of n is just, it is a combination of n k. In other words, we have the identity look like this one. Next, let's move to divisibility. An integer b is said to be divisible by an integer a differ from 0 in symbolically. A divides b means if there is some integer c, says that b is equal to a times c. And the next theorem for integer abc, the following property holds true. If a divides b and a divides c, then a divides bx plus cy for arbitrary integers x and y. Second, if a divides b, then a divides b to the power of n for some positive integer n. If a divides b, then a to the power of n divides b to the power of for some positive integer n. You can get the proof from the reference already I cited here. And the next one, divisibility property of Mullato numbers. And the theorem is taken from the fourth paper, which is published by Mullato. If mn is divisible by 2, then mn plus 1 whole square minus mn minus 1 the whole square is divisible by 4. That means the square of the divisor of mn divides this difference. And also, if mn is divisible by 3, then this one is also divisible by 9. So Mullato is doing those two theorems in 2011. Now we extend this idea for generalizing for n, for k, and also for k is equal to 4 and 5, also already did by myself. If mn is divisible by 4, then this mn plus 1 to the power 4 minus mn minus 1 to the power 4 is divisible by 1/6 or the square of the divisor. So let's see the proof of this theorem, and I will skip for 5. From the definition of Mullato number, we have the relation mn plus 1 means mn plus mn minus 1. This means mn is equal to mn plus 1 minus mn minus 1. So mn plus 1 to the power of 4 minus mn minus 1 to the power of 4 means, in place of mn plus 1, substitute this relationship mn plus mn minus 1. So we first we try to factor out as mn plus 1 to the power of 4 minus mn minus 1 to the power of 4 as a product of two terms. Now here mn plus 1 square minus mn minus 1 whole square times this sum. So the next step is try to replace mn plus 1 in terms of the previous two terms mn and mn minus 1. So we have the following results here. So finally we arrive on here mn square plus 2mn mn mn minus 1 times mn square times plus 2 mn times mn minus 1 plus 2 mn minus 1 the whole square. Then finally, when you find the product of those terms, we have this one, mn the power 4 plus 4 times this one times 6 plus this one. From here, we have, since mn is divisible by 4, we have this relationship. Mn means the product 4 times another integer, 4 times q. So substitute 4 times q in place of mn from the above equation, so that we arrive on the last expressions. 60 into 60 times the next terms inside the open bracket. So here, what you indicate here is that hence mn is divided by 4. That means the difference mn plus 1 to the power of 4 minus mn minus 1 to the power of 4 is divisible by 4 square or 16. So this is what the proof of when mn plus 1 to the power of 4 minus mn minus 1 to the power of 4 is divisible by 16. So the same is true. The next theorem is mn is divisible by 5. So the proof is similar to this one. So I will skip this part and I will proceed to the theorems. Starting the main result of this works, let's use some theorems which is important for doing the proof of the theorem. First one is the theorem says that mn plus 1 to the power of k minus mn minus 1 to the power of k is equal to summation of t runs from 0 up to k minus 1, combination of kt, m modulato number n, the k minus 1 times mn minus 1 to the power of t. When you see the proof of this one, we can prove easily because as you mentioned before, mn plus 1 is equal to mn plus mn minus 1. So we have the following relationships. Mn plus 1 to the power of k minus mn minus 1 to the power of k means in place of mn plus 1, substitute the sum of this, the above expression. So we have the following: mn plus mn minus 1 to the power of k minus mn minus 1 to the power of k. So expressing this one by using the previous term by the following result. This is the result which is obtained from the previous theorem. So when t is equal to k, or when t is equal to k, when you substitute this one, we have the following: t is equal to 0 up to k minus 1, combination of kt, mn minus 1, mn, k is a power, k minus 1, k is a power of k minus t times mn minus 1 to the power of t, plus the last term, t is equal to q, we have this one. So the difference is 0. So we have the following results. Now, using this idea, let us generalize Mulato numbers now. Mulato divisibility property. So this is the general findings of the paper, generalized divisibility property of Mn. If Mn is divisible by any k, which is an element of natural number, then Mn plus 1 the power of k minus Mn minus 1 the power of k is divisible by k squared. Look at now the relationship between the exponents of Mulato n plus 1 term and n minus 1 term, as well as the divisor k squared. So from this, from the previous two theorems, we have seen that for k is equal to 1, it is always, as well as for k is equal to 2 and 3, it is already proved by Mulato. For k greater than 3, 4 and 5, we already have proved those concepts. Now let us start for k. If k divides mn, this means mn is equal to k times for some integer q, as well as from the previous theorem, I said that if k divides mn, then its square is also divides mn square. Therefore, we have the following proofs now: mn plus 1 to the power of k minus mn minus 1 to the power of k is equal to, now replace mn plus 1 in terms of the sum of the two terms, which is mn plus mn minus 1 to the power of k. Then, using the above theorem to express this one in terms of binomial expansions. So we have the following: summation of combination of k with t times mn the power of k minus 1 times mn minus t the power of, mn minus 1 the power of t minus mn minus 1 the power of k. So when k is equal to k, or by using the above theorem, by using this theorem, we arrive at the following result, this one. Now the next step is try to expand this summation in terms of combinations, like this one. After expressing in terms of combination, we have a common terms here, which is mn square is common here. Mn square is factor out mn square because we are considering that k is greater than or equal to 3. So we can factor out mn square from this expression. And the last expression, k with k, combination of k with k minus 1 times mn times mn minus 1 to the power k minus 1. So from this one, k combination of k minus 1 means k mn times mn minus 1 to the power of k minus 1. So we have this one inside the closed bracket. Now move to the next. From the previous, we said that k divides mn. So we have k squared divides k times mn, because if k divides mn, then multiply both sides by the same number, then the result will be true. K squared divides k times mn, as well as k squared divides mn squared. Hence, by the theorem, we have k squared divides these expressions, mn squared into this, the expression inside the closed bracket, plus k times mn minus 1 to the power k minus 1. Here, therefore, here there is k, as well as mn squared is also divisible by k from this one. Mn squared is also divisible by k. So from two numbers which is divisible by k is also divisible by k. Therefore, k divides mn implies k squared divides the difference m the power of mn plus 1 the power of k minus mn minus 1 the power of k, for k element of natural number. Therefore, this is all about the proof of the theorems. Now, finding the mulatto number for arbitrary number n is very difficult. So we try to find a relationship between n and the exact value of mn's without calculating the preceding two terms. Now, to find this, let's define, as you know, we define already what's the recurrence relation from the beginning, and the mulatto number is already defined as mn is equal to 4, 1, mn minus 1 plus mn minus 2, whenever n greater than 1. So from here, the nth term is found as the sum of the preceding two terms, And also, from the previous, I said that mn also a recurrence relation, which is expressed as sum of two previous terms, and this is called a recurrence relation of order 2. So mn is equal to mn minus 1 plus mn minus 2. So, and also we have an initial condition m0 and m1. M0 is 4 as well as m1 is equal to 1. Next, let us generalize general solution of mulatto's relations. N satisfies the mulatto relation. Mn is equal to mn minus 1 plus mn minus 4, n greater than 2. Then there are constant c1 and c2, such that mn is equal to c1 times 1 minus square root of 5 over to the whole n plus c2 times 1 plus root 5 over to the whole n, where the constants are completely determined by the initial condition. Here is the proof, because as I mentioned before, this is a recurrence relation of order 2 with constant coefficient, linear as well. So x squared minus x1 minus 1 is the characteristic polynomial corresponding to mulatto recurrence relation. So from here we can find the roots of this characteristic polynomial. The roots are, you can express the roots are 1 minus root 5 over 2 as well as 1 plus root 5 over 2 here. So mulatto number can be expressed as c1 into 1 minus root 5 over to the power of n plus c2 into 1 plus root 5 the whole over to the whole n. This is what the theorem says. But we can determine the constant C1 and C2 because we have two initial conditions, M0 and M1 is already given from the definitions. For this part, we have this result, 2 plus 1 over root 5 plus this one is a mulatto number Mn. That means we can find the constant C1 and C2 from the above theorem because M0 is 4, M1 is 1, then we can calculate the values of the constant C1 and C2, then we arrive at this one. So this is the general formula to find mulatto number for any arbitrary number n, natural number n. So finally, let's conclude what is talking about mulatto numbers. Now we conclude that mulatto numbers has an amazing generalized divisibility property, and also we can find the values of mulatto numbers at arbitrary positive integer n without calculating the preceding two terms. And finally, the reference, those are the reference where the references to do this, So this is all about my paper.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dhananjay.
Thank you.
If any question is there from the audience side, they can ask. Dr. Shamula?
Hello. Thanks for your presentation. I have one question.
Okay.
Is this mulatto number relations of induction is suitable for all type of sequence?
Can you repeat?
Is this mulatto number relations of induction is suitable for all types of sequence? Is it suitable for all type of sequence?
Sorry, there is an interruption sound, so I cannot listen what you said.
Mr. Daraji, you can read the question in chat box.
Okay.
Mr. Daraji?
Yes.
Please answer.
Okay, can you repeat the question now?
What is this Mulatu number relations of induction is switchable for all type of sequences?
No, Mulatu number just shares the properties of just Fibonacci sequence. As you know, Fibonacci sequence is starting from 0, 1, 1,
Yeah, I know.
the sum of the previous terms. Just like that, Mulatu is invented this new number system as defined the first initial term m0 as 4, as well as the second term m1 1, and the next terms are the sum of the previous two terms. So the behavior is that it needs to or somehow similar to Fibonacci and Lucas numbers. Still, we are working on the relationship between those three numbers, but now those recurrence relation is not holding for any types of relations, because Mulatu by itself have their own characters or behaviors. Therefore, it may not be similar to Fibonacci, or it may not be similar to Lucas numbers.
Okay, one more question is from audience.
Okay.
What is the application advantage of Mulatu numbers?
Okay, thank you very much. As you know, let me try to relate Fibonacci number with Mulatu numbers. Fibonacci number just it is related to just day-to-day lives of people. Just like, so if you want to go to the forest, every plant is following the sequence of Fibonacci numbers. Just like that, Mulatu number is currently invented in 2011 and mainly focusing on the basic science now, and the application is still now not started. Therefore, anyone which is interested on this area can proceed the application. What's the application of this one? Maybe it may be related with coding theory, or it may be related, but currently there is no research findings on what's the application of Mulatu numbers.
Okay, Chadraji, please
Not more
slide
than
number
10 years. Okay. Is there any other?
Yeah, come to slide number 15.
Slide number
15. Asra missed.
Okay. Okay, slide number 15.
15, yes.
Yeah, this one. Okay.
In the theorem, you stated that n must be greater than or equals to 2.
Yeah.
But in proof, you are telling n is greater than or equals to 0. Isn't it a contradiction?
No. This relation is holding true only for n greater than or equal to 2. Because if n is greater than or equal to 0, we cannot find m nodes or m at 0, because there is no preceding terms. So that we define that n must be greater than or equal to 2 for this part.
What
Because
about 1?
No, still now 1 is not possible, because m1 means m naught plus m negative 1, but there is no such terms here. Therefore, it's better to start n greater than or equal to 2.
But your result contradicts your theorem.
What?
Your result contradicts your theorem. In proof, you are telling n must be greater than equals to 0. In theorem, you are telling n must be greater than equals to 2. This is a contradiction, I think.
This is for defining or finding mulatto numbers for any natural number n greater than or equal to 2, because m0 and m1 is already defined by mulatto. m0 is 4, m1 is 1, already stated. Calculating those terms for n less than or equal to 1.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your nice presentation and explanation. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Our next presenter is Mr. Girma Vandale. His paper ID is 1818. He is lecturer in the Department of Mathematics, Debar in Debre Tabor University, Ethiopia. His title of presentation is Analysis of Ethiopian Calendar for Christian Holidays with Variable Dates in Mathematical Approach. I request to Mr. Girma Vandale, please share your screen. Mr. Girma, are you there? Mr. Girma, are you available?
No, sir, not available.
No?
Next one.
Okay. Our next presenter is Ms. Prachi Gupta. Are you available, ma'am? Ms. Prachi Gupta?
Available.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm here. Am I audible?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So just give me 1 minute. I'm presenting my work.
Okay. Ms. Prachi Gupta is a research scholar in the Department of Mathematics, University of Delhi, India. The topic of her presentation is differentiation concerning functions with positive real part.
Sir, is my screen visible?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Myself, Prachi Gupta from Department of Mathematics, University of Delhi, India. And topic of my presentation is differential inequalities concerning functions with positive real part. So I would like to start with some basic definitions. By D, we denote the set of complex numbers such that mod of Z is less than 1, and that is the open unit disk. For a natural number n and a complex number A, we define HAN to be the class of analytic functions in D, which have such a power series representation. For a natural number n, we define Pn to be the subclass of H1n such that the real part of Pz is positive. And for n equal to 1, we denote P1 by P. For a natural number n, An is the class of analytic functions on open unit disk having such a power series representation. And for n equal to 1, we say A1 is denoted by A. S is the subclass of A consisting of 1, function. We say it is the class of univalent functions. K is the class of convex function. It is a subclass of A consisting of a function which maps unit disk onto a convex set. S star is the class subclass of A which consists of functions which maps the open unit disk onto a star-like domain. By RPM, we denote the radius of property P satisfied by the set M. It is the largest such number such that for every R less than this number, every member F of this set M has this property P in each of this subdisk. So in this work, we have considered radius problems for functions with positive real part. Now this class functions with positive real part plays a very important role in the theory of univalent functions. And this is so because the various subclasses of univalent functions can be characterized by using this class of functions with positive real part. For instance, if we see that a function f lie in the class S star, which is the class of star-like functions, if and only if z f dash over f lies in class P. Similarly, a function f lie in the class K, which is the class of convex functions, if and only if 1 plus z f double dash over f dash of z lie in class P. And there are many other classes which can be characterized using this class P. So if we know properties of class P, we can easily get properties for the classes S star and K and so on. So that is the importance of this class of functions with positive real part. In order to solve radius problems for this class P and Pn, we will be using these estimates proved by various researchers, and the bounds that they have obtained are sharp for this function Pz. So what is the main motivation behind our work? It is that Miller and Mokano proved that if P is an analytic function such that Pz is non-zero on the open unit disk and alpha is a real number, and if Pz satisfy this differential inequality, that is real part of Pz plus alpha z P dash of z over Pz is positive in the unit disk, then real part of Pz is positive. Also, Miller and Mokano have proved that if alpha lies in this range -1 to 1 and mod of real part of beta is greater than equal to 0, and Pz satisfies this differential inequality, that is mod of alpha Pz plus beta z P dash of z is less than 1 in the open unit disk, then also real part of P is positive. But they could not prove that this condition, real part of Pz, is sufficient for the property 1 and 3 to hold in the entire unit disk. So our aim is to compute a subdisk of this unit disk on which a function lying in class Pn having positive real part satisfy properties of this form. So it may not hold on the entire disk, but we can find a subdisk on which these property may hold. So in our work, we have considered a function P lying in the class Pn, and we have computed radius R0 such that function P satisfy properties of this form. So these are all the properties that we have considered, and we have also considered their some immediate consequences and application of the function univalent functions as well. So one of the results that we have proved is this, that if P lies in class Pn and alpha is greater than equal to 0 and beta is lies in this range, then real part of Pz plus alpha z P dash over Pz is greater than beta in this subdisk, not on the entire unit disk, but on this subdisk where R0 is given by this expression. And the bound that we obtained was sharp. So how do we prove this? So we first take a point Z in the open unit disk, and first we see that the result hold trivially for Z equal to 0. As for Z equal to 0, if we put Z here in this expression, we get P of 0. And by definition of a function lying in class Pn, P of 0 is 1, which is greater than beta by the statement. So we assume that mod Z is equal to R, and R lies in open interval 0 and 1. Now we use this basic inequality as well as the lemma that I have stated earlier, which consists of which gives us the estimates for a function lying in class P. We get that real part of Pz plus alpha z P dash of z can be written as something greater than this expression. Now we are going to use this expression to obtain an equation of this form whose solution gives us the required radius. So by some simple calculations, we obtained that real part of Pz plus alpha z P dash over Pz is greater than beta in mod Z less than R0, where R0 is the smallest positive root of this equation. And this equation is obtained from this last expression. And the bound that we have obtained is sharp, and it is sharp for this function Pz, which is equal to 1 plus z to the power n upon 1 minus z to the power n. And we can clearly see that if we compute Pz plus alpha z P dash over Pz for this particular function Pz, then it comes out to be the same expression. And if we put z equal to R0 e to the power I pi over n, then this real part of this term will become exactly beta. So the bound that we have obtained is sharp, and it cannot be further improved. And this is one of the application of the result that I have stated just now. This result gives us the radius of alpha convexity of order beta for the set of star-like functions. So now what is alpha convex function of order beta? We say a function f in An is said to be alpha convex of order beta if real part of alpha into 1 plus z f double dash over f dash of z plus 1 minus alpha into z f dash over f is greater than beta for some real numbers alpha and beta. So if we put pz equal to z f dash over f, where f lies in the class S star in this previous result, we could get this radius problem for function lying in class S star. So this is one of the application of the previous result. And similar thing has been done for all the other 4 properties as well. We have considered some generalizations also in our work. Now, in the next section of our work, we have considered function with fixed initial coefficient. Now, in 1916, Weaver proved that for a function lying in class S, S is the class of univalent function, the second coefficient mod of A2 is less than 2. Now, by using this bound, various researchers could directly obtain the growth and distortion estimates for function lying in class S. So because of this reason, many people were very interested in this area, like what could be the change in the results if we restrict the second coefficient and so on. So there's a whole lot of theory on functions with fixed initial coefficient. Now, for n natural number and zeta and a complex number, h zeta an is the class of analytic functions on unit disk having such a power series representation. Here we can see that the coefficient of z to the power n is fixed as zeta. And without loss of generality, we can assume that zeta to be a non-negative real number. Now, PBN is a subclass of HB1N having positive real part. For n equal to 1, we denote P1B by PB. And for n lying in N and a B complex number, A and B is a subclass of AN where the coefficient of Z to the power n plus 1 is fixed as B. And for our convenience, for n equal to 1, A1B is assumed denoted by AB. Now, in order to prove radius results for the class P and B, we will be using these estimates for class P and B proved by Mogra and Joneja in 1981. All the bounds that they have obtained are sharp and they are very useful in our work. So these are the various properties that we have considered for the class P and B. So we have obtained radius for all the 4 properties as well as their applications have been done. So this is one of the results that we have done, that let P be a function in class P and B, alpha is greater than or equal to 0 and beta lies in this range. Then the function P satisfies this differential inequality in the unit disk, in the subdisk mod z less than RB, where RB is the smallest positive root of this equation number 6. And the bound is sharp. And I would like to point out here that if we put B equal to 2 here, then we will get the analogous result.
Excuse me, Ms. Prachi.
Yes, sir.
Please come to conclusion part.
Okay, sir. Okay. So, I'll just quickly move on to that. So this is the analogous result for as for the class Pn, and this is the proof. It is on the same lines that I have discussed earlier, and this is the application for it. In this, we have computed radius of alpha convexity of order beta for star-like functions with fixed initial coefficient. So, and in the last section of our work, we have considered, up till now, we have considered properties which involve first order derivative, but now we have considered properties which involve second order derivatives as well. And we have computed radiuses for class P and PB. And these are the results for that. And the proof is on the same lines again. And this is for the class P. Now, in order to prove the radius problem for PB, we have also obtained bound on the second derivative, P double dash of Z for function lying in class PB, and that is by using this inequality by Tuan and others and some basic triangle inequality, we could get the bounds and they are sharp for this function PBZ. And these are radius results for the class PB, and proof is on the similar lines. And these are some of the references. And thank you for listening, giving your valuable time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Prachi. Any question from the audience side? Any question? Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for organizing such a wonderful conference. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our next presenter is ID number 20, Mr. Ishfaq Nazir, research scholar in the Department of Mathematics, University of Kashmir, India. His paper title is Relation Between Zeros of Polynomials. So I request Mr. Ishfaq Nazir, please share your screen.
Yes, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, you are
Hello?
audible, sir.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes,
sir.
sir,
Is the
audible.
screen visible to everyone? Sir, is the screen visible to everyone?
No, screen is not visible.
So wait a minute, sir.
Just wait for a few seconds. Just wait. All the participants are requested kindly mute yourself.
Is the screen visible, sir?
Now share your screen,
Visible,
sir.
sir? Sir,
Yes, it's
is the
visible.
Visible, sir?
It's visible, but your
Is the
screen is not clear. I think you are sharing
is the
from
screen
your...
visible, sir? Hello,
Sir,
sir?
it's not clear. I think you are sharing from your mobile.
Yeah, now it is visible.
It's visible, but you cannot read it.
Visible, sir?
It's visible, but it's not clear, sir.
1 second, sir. 1 second.
Okay, okay, okay.
Now it's clear?
Make it
Sir,
full
is it
screen.
visible to everyone?
Yeah. Now it's clear.
Yes. So myself is Ishfaq Nazir, research scholar at Mathematics University of Kashmir, JK, Jammu and Kashmir, India. And I'm working on the complex polynomials, particularly the zeros and the critical points of polynomials. So it's a very short paper concerning the relation between two zeros of two complex polynomials. And this is the outline of my paper. That is a classical Grace theorem that concerns with the relation between two zeros of two polynomials. And in this paper, we have determined the relation between two polynomials that are not apolar. The Grace theorem is concerned with the polynomials that are apolar, concerns the zeros of two polynomials that are apolar. But in this paper, we have determined the relation between the polynomials that are not apolar. And that automatically generalizes the classical Grace theorem. And in this paper, we also generalize the Grace theorem as well as the results of ASEs who have worked on these apolar polynomials. Also, we also have obtained the interesting results concerning the location of zeros of higher derivatives of a polynomial. And moreover, we have determined that if we have given any complex polynomial, we have determined the region that contain at least one critical point of the given polynomial. So before we move forward, is the screen visible to everyone, sir? Hello, sir? Hello?
Visible, sir. Carry on.
Visible, sir? Yeah. So this is the introduction, brief introduction to the complex. Before I will move forward, let me introduce to the concept of this polynomial. This polynomial k is an expression of the form summation k runs from 0 to n, ak is zk, where these ak's are the complex numbers. And f dash b is derivative. By the critical point, we mean the zeros of the derivative that you should know. One of the fundamental problem in analytic theory of polynomial is the classical Gauss-Nikos theorem, and that gives you the location of critical point is when the location of all the zeros of a polynomial is given. So this classical Gauss-Nikos theorem, this gives a relation between the zero and the critical points of the polynomial. Given the location of zeros, this Gauss-Nikos theorem gives the location of the critical pointers. And the statement that I have not written here because this paper is particularly concerned with the Grace theorem. So this Gauss-Nikos, for your awareness, this classical Gauss-Nikos theorem, this give its statement is it says that every convex set which contains zero also contain it is critical pointers. So this Gaussian theorem gives you the relation between the zeros and its critical pointers. In other words, we can say this Gaussian theorem concerns with the relation between zeros and the zeros of the polynomial and its zeros of its derivative. But in this paper, we shall first discuss the relation between two arbitrary polynomials. When you have two arbitrary polynomials, can you say anything about the relation between their zeros? So for this, we need the concept of apolarity. And this apolarity we define two f of z and g of z that is mentioned here. They are said to be apolar if their coefficient is satisfy this relation 1.2 AFG that I have denoted by AFG, where summation k runs from 0 to n minus 1 power k, ak bn minus k divided by nck. This is nk is the binomial coefficient. So these two polynomials are apolar if their coefficient satisfies this type of relation 1.2. So concerning this relation between zeros and polynomials, this apolar, when you have the two apolar polynomials, then there is a relation between the zeros of two polynomials. And this is given by the classical theorem of Grace, that is known as Grace's apolarity theorem. So the statement of apolarity theorem is that if f of z and g of z are two apolar polynomials, then every circular domain C, which contain all the zeros of one of the polynomial, contains at least one zero of the other. So in other words, this Grace apolarity theorem says that if you have the two polynomials f of z and g of z which are apolar, then their zeros are related. They cannot be separated by the boundary of any circular domain. So for your awareness, I have written there this definition of circular domain. Circular domain you can take open or closed unit disk, or it is complement, or it's a complement of half plane, or it's a half plane. So these are the types of circular domains. You have a circular domain, you may take the interior of circle, exterior of circle, or half plane. So those two we call the circular domains. Actually, the formal definition of the circular domain is that it is the image of a unit disk under a bilinear transformation, or what we call the Mobius transformation. So this Grace apolarity theorem is concerned with the polynomials of same degree. What Aziz did, Aziz relaxed the condition that it is not necessary that f of z and g of z are of the same degree. So Aziz just relaxes the degree of the two polynomials. Instead, he assumed that f of z and g of z to be the polynomials of same degree, to be the polynomials of arbitrary degree. So Aziz did relax the condition that the polynomials f of z and g of z should be the same degree. He relaxed it. He takes the two polynomials of arbitrary degree that I have mentioned here. F of z and g of z are the polynomials of degree n and m respectively, where m is less than n, with their coefficient is satisfying an apolar relation that I have mentioned earlier, and obtained the generalization of following generalization. This result is obtained by the Aziz. He takes two polynomials of degree n and other of degree m, where m is less or equal to n, and assume this relation between their coefficients. But he proved, if we see the Grace's theorem, that is concerned with any circular domain, whether this is the interior of disk or exterior of disk or any half plane. But what Aziz did, he relaxed the condition. Although he relaxed the condition, but he proved this relation, but he proved this result for the case when you have the circle mod z less or equal to r, and proved this result that is on your screen. What we did, we also relaxed the condition, same condition, but we consider the polynomials which do not satisfy this type of relation. What will happen when we have the two polynomials? Can you say anything about the zeros of two polynomials, about the relation between the zeros of those two polynomials? So that is the question, and that natural question arises. So what we have answered this problem in this paper. So for the proof of our results, we need the results of this Ratan and Ibrahim, who have proved these results few years before. They take two polynomials. If we see f of z to be a0 plus a1 z plus so on to an minus 1 z power n minus 1 plus z power n, and g of z of the same degree. What he proved, he say if all the zeros of the polynomial f lie in the closed half plane, this. Now we have proved this for half plane. They have proved for the Aziz proved this for in the circle. This Ibrahim just did. He proved this for half plane. But if we see there's not any given any apolar relation. Their coefficients do not satisfy any relation. It's not necessary they should satisfy any relation, but they have kept the degree same and proved this result that is shown on your screen. In the same case, that's what this result. If f of z is equal to a naught, a1 z plus so on, n plus 1, z power n minus 1 plus z power n, then g of z and g of z is f of z minus c. This, if all the zeros of f of z line close to half plane, this h, all the zeros of f of z minus c line, this real of z, this half plane we have just added there, prove mod c power 1 by n. So these two results have proven and and Ibrahim. What we have did, that's the main point. A question arises, what will happen when you have given two polynomials, they do not satisfy this type of relation? Can we say anything about the relation between the zeros of two polynomials at that time? Is there any relation between zeros? What will happen when this apolytic condition is not satisfied? Since if we have assumed this, our result is not only generalizing the results of A as is, but also they are so results the generalize the result of Grace's theorem, where they assume that the apolyte, that the coefficient, that the relation, that this coefficient relation, apolar type of relation is zero. But we have assumed, we have taken what will happen when this relation, when this apolar type of relation is zero. So here we answer this question for the case when the circular domain is C. C is half plane and the complement of disk. Aziz did it for the interior of disk by assuming this apolar type of relation is equal to zero. We did and the complement disk, but we have not assumed this apolar type relation being equal to zero. So this is our one of the main our result. But if you see, we have taken this is the main result of our paper. I have skipped the proof because due to lack of time, I have skipped the proof. I have just only mentioned the main results. If we take f of z to be the polynomial, summation k runs from 0 to n, n k, a k, z power k, and g of z to be of the different degree, where m is less or equal to n. Assume this half plane contains sinus. Given two polynomials, they does not satisfy any apolar type of relation. This is the main importance of this result. They are without any that assumption that they have kept Grace and as is. So we have taken arbitrary two polynomials of different degrees, and we have taken the half plane. If this half plane contains origin and all the zeros of G, so this is the main here condition origin and Z. Aziz have also taken this assumption. We have the half plane contains all the zeros of G, then the half plane K, this real of Z e power alpha lesser than B plus mod alpha of FG divided by NB, AN, BM power 1 by N. If we see Aziz's result, if this alpha of FG is equal to 0, that means if the two polynomials set by the condition of A as is, apolar type of relation is equal to 0, then this result will reduce to A as is. So in that sense, it generalizes. It considers.
Excuse me, Mr. Ishfaq Nazir.
Yes, sir.
Please come to the conclusion part.
Yes, sir. These are the main. Actually, these are the main results, and this will be the conclusion.
Okay.
So this is this is our first result. Second result is it is the same. It also assumes that it is not necessary that apolar type relation should be equal to 0. We have also proved this result for the case complement of disk. So these two results are the same, but they are we have rejected with two different regions. So if we take alpha of FG equal to 0, that is the condition of A as is, then it will reduce to the Grace's theorem and this. So in that sense, it generalizes those two classical results of concerning this relation. We now introduce this unary operator AFG and where G of Z AFG, where unary operator is we take as the single value, where G of Z is equal to this K polynomial of degree n, of degree m less or equal to n. I have mentioned here of degree n because where I have taken m less or equal to n. When m is equal to n, at that time it will be n. So, and when its degree is less than n, then at the time this bm plus 1 equal to bm plus 2, so on, bn equal to 0. So at the time this coefficient will be 0, and we define this type of relation AFG is equal to summation Karen's from 0 to n minus 1 power k, kbn minus k. So this time, now let us set the GTZ to this summation Karen's from 0 to n minus t bkz power k. And if g of z is the polynomial of degree m minus m less than n. If this g of z is degree less than n, then GTZ is equal to g of z for all t equal to 0 up to n minus 1. Up to t n minus 1, this GTZ is just the g of z. So further that, it's not necessary they are equal to. So we can represent above AFG by the relation that is given here. So I will, if we see the 3.2 relation, AFG is equal to minus 1 power n is equal to the n minus 1th derivative of f into g. That means g, this, if we see the 3.2 relation. So this relation I will use in our main result. That is the, using above relation, we obtain the, this is the final result. We obtain the following result concerning zeros of higher derivatives. If we have the rather have obtained the result for the rather have considered the polynomials of same degree and obtained the result for just to their about their relations. What is the importance of this result is that it not only relaxes the condition, that it's not necessary that they should be same, but it also proves the result for higher degrees. If you say f of z is equal to is the polynomial of degree m, g of z is the polynomial of degree n, and where m is less or equal to, then the following holds. If all the zeros of f of z lie in the half plane, this real of z e power I alpha less or equal to b, then at least one zero of n minus mth derivative of g lie in the half plane. This real of z e power alpha less or half plane k. You just take k. Now, if we see in any other, they have taken the AFG equal to 0, but if we here take AFG equal to 0, then it will reduce to their result. So in that sense, it generalizes. It takes two polynomials by assuming it is not necessary that they should satisfy the Apollo type of relation. We relaxed those, we relaxed two conditions. One condition, we relaxed degree, we relaxed it's not necessary that they should satisfy the Apollo type of relation. So in that sense, it is more interesting than their results. So one more thing about the importance of the result is that they have just talked about the relation between zeros of the two polynomials. Here in this result, we have to consider the zeros relation to zero of the polynomial and the zero of the higher degree of another polynomial. That is the gn minus mth degree. If we take n minus m, then it will reduce to, if we take n is equal to m, then it will reduce their result. So this is the, in that sense, it is important. Finally, this is the final result of. Finally, if we see, if we have a given complex polynomial, can we determine a region that will always contain at least one critical point of the polynomial? So we have proved this result in this case, that region, what that region can be using the concept of these Apollo polynomials. So by critical point, you must be aware that is the zero of the derivative of a polynomial. That is called the critical point. So if f of z is summation k runs from 0 to n a k z k, it is any complex polynomial of n, degree n, then it has at least one critical point in this mod z less or equal to this radius a1 divided by n power 1 by n minus 1. And this will always contain a critical point. And this we can prove simply using the equality. And this result is best possible, as can be seen by the following example, that is f of z is equal to z square minus z. If we find it as critical point, it has a critical point 1 by 2, and that always lies in this. You cannot take radius less than 1 by 2, otherwise that critical point will lie outside this region. So in that sense, it is the best possible region. And moreover, it is important that this point, if you see, it only depends upon the two coefficients, a1, an, and n. So these are the few results, a few important results that we obtained regarding the concept of a relation between zeros of two polynomials that is mainly related to the concept of polar polynomials. So we have just analyzed the classical Grace theorem and the results of legendary ASCs who have worked a lot of regarding this. So this was the main content of the paper. Thank you for your listening.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ishfaq, for your nice presentation. Is there any question from the audience side?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, you can ask.
Thank you for your nice presentation. What is aporal polynomials? Is there any difference from the classical polynomial? This one is the first question. The second one is there.
I have defined it in very first slide. If you see this definition, it is not a two polynomial. I have taken this. It is visible to like if you take the 1.1 two polynomial f of z and g of z of same degree, they are said to be the apolar polynomials if their coefficient is satisfying this relation 1.2. Then we say the two polynomials are apolar.
Okay, is that your work also important to find the integral roots of what the classical polynomial function?
Yes, can you repeat, sir?
Is your work helpful or important to find the integral roots for a classical or ordinary polynomial function?
No, sir. Actually, this work is related to the. It gives actually this work is concerned with the relation between. It gives the relation between zeros of two polynomials, two arbitrary polynomials. Right? What this work? We have worked on apolar polynomials. From that, we have taken any two arbitrary polynomials. Can we say any relation between zeros of two polynomials? So we have worked on this problem, given two arbitrary polynomials.
Thank you for your reflection.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Now, I request Dr. Shamuga,
Associate Professor in the Department of Mathematics, Mizan-Tepi University, to present a certificate of appreciation to Professor Dr. Mehar. Mr. Ishfaq, please stop. Please stop sharing your screen. Mr. Ishfaq.
Okay. Is the signal still visible, sir?
No, sir, it's not visible. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Hello everyone. I am feeling proud to present certificate of appreciation to our keynote speaker of this session, Dr. Mogat. Your presence in the conference is highly appreciated, sir. Thank you very much. Thanks for your keynote speech. Thanks to all participants and presenters for your valuable time. Okay, thanks a lot.
I think we have covered everything on this list. I am thankful to today's keynote speaker and all participants and presenters for lighting up the session by your presence and great presentations. The next session will start tomorrow at 9 o'clock by Ethiopian time, and there will be 2 parallel sessions.
The link for the session will be sent to you by today evening. To all are requested to join the session. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Have a good night.